Hello everyone. Name's Tara. Today we're gonna be doing some video editing, and Jesus H Christ, am I fucking struggle busing here? So, Blue Sky released a go live feature for your profile. Hello, Normie. And for whatever reason, the Android version is goddamn broken. I absolutely cannot do my go live today. Also, I am sick. Colon //. It was decent. I also I did a bunch. I got my monk character up to level 80, and then I pre-purchased the Midnight expansion, and I used my level 80 boost to get my evoker up. TV/Terrafauna VT. Jesus Christ. Does it work now on... It does. It works now on this. Okay. Fuck's sake. Going live for 4 hours. So this is really going to be a lower energy stream because I just don't have it in me. I'm telling you, I'm sick, but I need to get this video out. Okay, good. Let me pull up my stream monitor for YouTube. Nope, wrong thing. My channel. So many of you may recognize Mini Minute Man. I have his video in the bottom right. I'm going to play it while I do some stuff editing for stream. So, if that's not your vibe, then feel free to leave. He's Normie, he was the one I was telling you about that I think you'd really like.
Welcome to another YouTube video. I gotta say, this was a good idea.
How's the volume on that, Normie?
It's even better in practice. Just gotta put my hammer back so I know where to find it, you know? Shibari hammer. Can I make that joke? I feel like that'll get me demonetized. Welcome to my office. How's it going, everybody? It's me again. Things have deteriorated.
Okay, you guys should be able to hear me clearly over him.
I'm saying it right now. I don't do this lightly. You guys know that there is nothing on earth that I love more than half-baked conspiracy theories. In my 4 years on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, I have covered countless terrible conspiracy theories. From ones that make you go, to ones that make you go, what?
Proof that giants are real? This is a fake fucking sun.
Lizard people are real.
And in doing this, as you know,
lizard people are real.
I have met a lot of characters. You see, the people that tend to make these conspiracy videos are oftentimes even more interesting than the conspiracy theories themselves.
Got fucking Theta Chi here talking about ancient fucking lasers.
I don't want to know anything about Charles Hapgood's pole or why it shifts.
No, I'm not saying that being a comic book artist disqualifies you from having any scientific discussion, but I am saying that it may explain why he seems to be completely out of touch with reality.
Now, most of the time, I don't get too invested into the characters that I come across when I do these videos. Typically, when I do my short form, I try and just do it one and done. I never include the names of the people that I'm talking about because in my short form, I'm a little bit more of an asshole.
This dude, who I'm pretty sure I played beer pong against once in the basement of Teak. Whose mom is this? You don't believe in dinosaurs, but you believe in dragons. This video is just a painful reminder that England exists. I have a sneaking suspicion these might not be the first white lines you've seen today. Can we do like a Citizens Lithium prescription?
But every once in a while,
A Citizens Lithium subscription.
And so when you guys tag me in videos that you want me to cover, oftentimes it's not even, oh my god, they're talking about this. It's a, oh my god, it's this guy again. And when you're exposed to guys like this over and over and over again, it almost starts to become like Stockholm Syndrome. You start to get like a little soft spot for them. Not a soft spot in your heart, like a soft spot in the top of your skull. I become fascinated by them. I study them like they're some kind of, you know, like they're in a primate sanctuary. And little by little, I slowly accidentally become like an armchair
I love
expert
this
in
dude's
some
videos.
random conspiracy theorist on the internet. That, of course, leads me to do...
No, I actually discovered him when he was, there was another YouTuber who was reacting to him. So I was, it was really weird, like, I didn't know he existed, and then I was just recommended a reaction video to his stuff, so I started watching him, and dude is hilarious, genuinely.
Thing a person should do when you know an absolute shit ton about a really specific topic that nobody else gives a shit about. And that is make a really long multi-part YouTube video about it. Because deep in my heart of hearts, I know that you good people out there need something to play in the background while you do your dishes or fold your laundry or play video games. Yeah, I can see you. I can see you directly through the screen. You see this wall behind me? That's your wall. That's the other side of your wall. I am on the other side of your wall right now. Now, it's been a little while since I've done one of these case studies. Last year, as many of you will remember, I discussed Philip Ziba. He's a TikTok personality that talks about a lot of pseudoarchaeology and pseudoscience alongside some actual scientific videos. Most of you have probably already seen that series. It did pretty well. So needless to say, people seem to really enjoy them. And the worst part is I really enjoyed it as well. You see, after doing that first video, I got a taste for it. I've been here cooped up in this green room, slowly absorbing like arsenic from the walls, and it's been driving me insane. And then, sure enough, it happened. A few months ago, a new subject found his way to me. He manifested to me through the ether like the Green Goblin mask. And so, folks, it's
Oh no, not the Green Goblin
for
mask.
another one. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce you to a brand new character in the Milo Cinematic Universe, the MCU. We're totally gonna get sued for that. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Milo Rossi.
I need to
and
turn the
today
mixing
it is
down
my
on that.
great pleasure to welcome you to part 1
Terribly
of Shame
loud.
Vibes Debunked. Back in March, this video came up on my Instagram Reels.
Did you know that most of the bones at museums of dinosaurs are made of plaster, and it's actually a replica of what they found in the wild? Now, there's a new term called dinosaur deniers. Apparently, a lot of people...
Yeah, that's literally because ancient bone is too fragile to display at all times. There's like too much moisture and shit. They have to keep it in a controlled setting to keep it protected. Otherwise, they'll just like disintegrate.
People are denying their very existence, but how could you when you can see it so clearly right there? Of course they existed, right? Well, it's true that before the 1800s, no one called them dinosaurs. They were considered to be dragons, and they were also considered to be much, much more recent in history, alive, walking around. Keep in mind, China's calendar, they have 11 common living animals: ox, goat, chicken, fish, snake, and then there's a dragon on there. So all these bones were considered to be dragon bones until this guy came up with the term dinosaur. And now they tell us that they're hundreds of millions of years old. But how do they tell you, like, how do they know they're hundreds of millions of years old? Well, this is where the science gets a little bit shaky. One way is they use absolute dating. They use radioactive decay of elements, and then they tell you how old it is based on that. They did radiometric reads on the lava that came out of Mount St. Helens in 1980s. It came back between 350,000 to 2.8 million years old, which called into question the reliability about this method. The other method is to use index fossils, fossils that occur at certain depths, which indicate a certain amount of years ago. So they're using the rocks to tell you how old the fossils are, and they're using the fossils to tell you how old the rocks are. It's called circular reasoning. There's a lot to be asked.
Now, as you can imagine, due to the soft spot in the top of my skull that I developed from watching too many conspiracy videos, I was immediately intrigued by this. And so, of course, I had to go check out his account. The account that had posted this was called ShaneVibes_truth, and the little Instagram name title of Connecting Consciousness. We were off to a strong start here. What if, instead of fixing that side, we mess up this side? There we go. I don't know why I'm trying to make this look symmetrical. It's a plastic tarp hanging from the ceiling. It can only look so good. Now, the name ShaneVibes_truth immediately struck me because I think it's actually the perfect name for an account that does this. Because it's not truth. It's like the vibes of truth. It's like truth in the sense that it's like a personal truth. Like you just pick a thing and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna believe that. And then, you know, you just filter out all the information that tries to prove you wrong. Now, the other thing I picked up from the name of this account was that his name is Shane, presumably. I don't know why you would name an account Shane anything if your name isn't Shane. I don't know why anyone would voluntarily want to be named Shane. Sorry about that, Shane. I don't mean to... I'm not talking about this Shane. Any other Shanes watching? Shane, you not only chose to be named, well, I don't know if you chose to be named Shane. What's happening? Where am I? No, Shane is a versatile conspiracy theorist. By versatile, I mean that Shane will cover pretty much anything, like to an astonishing degree. His favorite category seems to be in the health side of things. Oh, what do you mean by health, Milo? Do you mean like, you know, encouraging people to like get a, you know, a healthier diet and to, you know, work out more and exercise and, you know, like take care of themselves? No. I mean like chemtrails and fluoride and, you know, like, you know, they put
he's one of those crazies
in the COVID vaccine. Along with this, Shane is also very into the Hollywood dark elite side of things, which, as I'm sure many of you...
You know, I'm really sad that my 6 COVID vaccines have not given me the ability to wirelessly connect to my printer. Because that would be super handy, honestly. I would love the ability to just wirelessly beam something into my technology. But that's the biggest thing that I'm depressed about. That my 5G chip does not allow me to contact other things.
Can already predict carries with it some baggage that we will unfortunately be talking about in this video. And then of course there's my favorite, pseudo-archaeology and young earth creationism. In short, Shane perfectly exemplifies how if somebody believes in one conspiracy theory, chances are they believe in a lot of conspiracy theories. Along with being versatile, Shane is also prolific. Prolific might be a little bit too much of have a positive connotation to it. Another appropriate term that may apply more here could be like, you know, throw shit at the wall and see what sticks kind of thing. Shane posts every single day, multiple times a day. I think I found one day where he posted 5 times in a single day. At the time of me making this video, he has like 720 posts on his Instagram page. That's really impressive. So how, you may ask, does he manage to do 3 to 5 videos every single day? Well, it's because he's not really doing a lot of the videos. There's a lot of videos that are, you know, kind of like this, where he just, you know, appears for a second and says like, what do you think about that? And then it's just another guy telling you a conspiracy theory, and then he pops back in at the end. Now, this is a little frustrating to me because, you know, I got that soft spot in my brain. That soft spot was forged by good, hard-working conspiracy theorists. Again, even our boy, Philip, this guy puts his whole... I'm not gonna do that one. This guy puts his back into his videos. This guy throws it back in his videos. He
throws it back in his videos.
Times a week, and his videos are more dense than a dying star. Shane, on the other hand, seems to have the complete opposite problem. He seems to be pretty unabashedly a more quantity over quality kind of guy. Obviously, in doing what I do, I am very familiar with conspiracy slop accounts. They are a dime a dozen, really. And typically, I would never dedicate this much time to what is essentially a conspiracy slop account. But Shane is a unique case for 2 reasons. One, if you sift through the slop long enough, every once in a while, you will come across like a 3-ounce gold nugget. And it makes all the slop sifting just absolutely worth it. And the second reason is because
Fair.
Shane is very different from the previous person that we've covered here. And with that and the way that he runs his channel, I also think there is a whole host of other lessons to learn from the way that he conducts himself. If I covered someone that was exactly the same as Philip, it would pretty much just be the same exact messages. But I think Shane is the perfect opportunity to talk about accounts like this, because he's a lot more interesting than most other accounts like this, and he's the perfect catalyst for us to take a deep dive to really understand how these accounts work and what the damage is that they can do. So to warm us up as we begin to get into this video, I want to familiarize all of you with Shane's content. And I think the best way to do that is to start us off with one video in particular that myself, as the regional Shane expert, have dubbed the Shane holotype specimen.
Shane holotype specimen.
Oh, I forgot about this. I noticed it as I was walking over, but
The frame's a little bit more zoomed in now, isn't it? We interrupt this program for something very important, and that is, wow, look at that, it's still sealed. Because we are officially introducing the first Mini Minuteman sticker pack.
Mini
it's not
Minuteman
officially out right now,
stickers.
like we've shown this in other videos, but it's out still now. It's still out now. Y'all have been asking for stickers for a long while, and so here are some of them. Not only do we now have this bad boy, but we also got
I wonder
the
if they're
Schmink
still out, 'cause
sticker
this
as well.
video's like a
Since
year
I can't
old.
give you a real Schmink, you're gonna have to deal with this one. And check this bad boy out. Y'all ain't ready for this. Hoodie. I bet this is covering my my microphone now. But we got a brand new hoodie design. Hoodie and t-shirt design. I know it's hot right now, so I wouldn't blame you if we wanted a t-shirt. But we finally got this bad boy. Available in green. Available in this color as well. And I think there's a black one too, or a gray one, or something. I don't know. So if you want to rep a little bit of Mini
I feel like it was
Minuteman merch
pseudo
without
ad
having
reads or
some
kind of
ugly-ass
off the
YouTuber
cuff.
logo plastered across your chest, now you can. And of course, I greatly appreciate anyone who does decide to check some of this stuff out, because it helps me keep doing what I do here. All of the artwork.
And actually, one of the best things about Mini Minuteman is the fact that he doesn't really do ad reads. He has not been sponsored by anybody yet. He has intentionally refused sponsors. So, like, purchasing his merch is literally the only way to financially support him other than watching his content and sharing it. So, super duper important thing to do. I watched his whole Graham Hancock series earlier today, just binging it because I could not sleep at all. And it is, I don't know, I may do like an actual react to this, may edit this into a video format and see what I can do. But genuinely some of the best, like, debunk style commentary I've ever seen, and it goes back to like the old days of, if you were a fan of the old like atheism versus Christianity debates back in like 2005, you'll absolutely be a fan of his. Like, well, with the exception of the whole like edgy thing and the anti-feminist thing. Let me take that back. He's not much like the atheism versus creation debates at all. He's just kind of better because he's actually educated and he's not like bringing his own biases into the conversation. That makes sense.
And merch on this channel is made by real, actual humans, not a single AI involved. And my wonderful partner, the artist behind all of this, gets a portion of every sale, meaning that they actually get to directly profit off of their work. So make sure to go check it out. Link to that is in the description. Greatly appreciate it. Helps me keep doing what I do here. And now, let's get right back into the video.
Okay, anyway, what was I talking about? Shane's holotype specimen. What is a holotype specimen? Whoa, it's trying to get out because there's no lime in it. I haven't activated it. It's not safe to drink unless you put lime in it. A holotype is the word given to like the perfect example of a species. It's frequently used for extinct species, you know, the holotype specimen of a T-Rex or the holotype specimen of like a fucking starfish or something like that. Sorry, a sea star. I know. My environmental science teacher in high school drilled that into my fucking brain because they're not a fish. They're an echinoderm. Don't get it twisted. Don't fuck with me in my echinoderm. Echinoderm or something. Yeah, I speak German. So a holotype is like the perfect example of a species. It's typically something that's very complete and something that you can use as a reference point to understand what the species was like. You know, for Homo sapiens, that holotype specimen, oddly, is Danny DeVito. I'm kidding. Is there a Please tell me there's a holotype specimen for people. Oh my god. It just opened up my front-facing camera. Okay, there seems to not be a Homo sapien holotype specimen. So, man, you put that in your Hinge bio? Holy shit. Hey ladies, not only am I a guy, I am the guy. I am the guy after which all other guys are modeled. Okay, oh god, Jesus
I would hope
Christ.
so.
Back to it. So real quick, before we get into Shane's holotype video, I gotta start with an obligatory PSA. Funny Milo.
If there were a guy that I could be attracted to, it'd most definitely be him.
To harass Shane or his viewers. I am not asking that of you. I am telling that to you. You are not my attack dogs, and I am not sending you on a fucking crusade. In fact, I am explicitly telling you not to go on a fucking crusade. I am immensely grateful to have an audience that, for the most part, upholds the high bar, and I expect of all of you to continue showing that level of respect to people that I talk about here, even if you disagree with them. Shane is a real person. He likes things, presumably. He has friends and family and hobbies. He is, even if he thinks differently, pretty much exactly like you and I. The version of him that we see on the screen is a version of a real, actual, living person who deserves to be treated with respect. So please remember that no matter how much you or I or we may disagree or dislike the things he is saying, that is not an excuse for you to harass him. Now believe me, there is a lot of things that we will be talking about here that are absolutely worth having a discussion about. And I'm not asking you to not have discussions about Shane. What I am asking is for you to keep it respectful. You can and very well may take issue with some of the things that he says and the things that he does, and it is totally appropriate to talk about those things in a way that has nuance and you're trying to understand it and express, you know, what the greater implication may be. It is not appropriate to just, you know, hurl fucking playground insults at this guy. I expect you to respect this request from me in any discussion about Shane, his content, or this video, whether it be on this video, in the comments, or elsewhere. I will, full stop, not allow behavior like that to define our community. Trust me, I grew up in the age of YouTube. I have seen a lot of fan bases become cults of personality that will attack anyone that their guy doesn't like. And worse, these guys either not doing anything to stop it or outright encouraging it. And that behavior fucking disgusts me. I feel like, due to my substantial audience and the type of content that I make, I have an obligation as a creator to say these words in every single video that I make like this, and in so doing work to prevent the toxic and disgusting behavior that defines so many other internet and creator communities from trying to take root here. The thing that has brought us all together on this channel is a focus on facts, science, and maintaining an open mind. Cults of personality are often at the root of the unquestioning cult-like conspiracy behavior that we talk so much about on this channel. So I remind you that behavior like that, even around me, is the complete antithesis of everything we are trying to do here. And I hear a couple of you saying,
I absolutely agree with him, because one of the most interesting things I've noticed is that these cults of personality tend to form around specific YouTubers, and even the slightest, like, criticism from a large YouTuber can result in, like, huge backlash for whoever they're criticizing. Even if it's, like, mild criticism, some of their audience will absolutely go into that comment section or go into that person's chats and just absolutely wreak utter havoc. So I do think he's doing the responsible thing here and trying to mitigate that before it happens. And he's doing it in a way that I think works pretty well, because he's trying to make it a point of intellectualism. Like, you are smart if you do not go into these comment sections and attack these people. And you are dumb if you do go into the comment sections and attack people. So it kind of plays on a base human instinct to want to be considered intelligent by your peers. And he is a content creator who surrounds himself by, you know, being educated, being knowledgeable about things. So I genuinely think he's using his sway in this particular situation to, I guess, direct his audience in one way or the other.
But Milo, you're an asshole. Why can't I also be an asshole? In these videos, I try and keep it mostly above board.
In a good way, I mean, not like, you know how some people will try to send their. Like one thing that I've seen is, in a couple of cases, there will be a larger creator who discovers a smaller creator and like reacts to their content. Then one day, they get like a wave of positive reinforcement from that creator, but it's not like directly the kind of audience that they would go for, so they kind of end up sort of redirecting from their original audience to now this gigantic larger audience that has kind of different fundamental beliefs. Also, thank you, Normie, for the 7-day streak. I didn't see that till just now.
And also, this is my job, okay? My job is being an asshole. Your job is not. There's a very big difference between, you know, me trying to use this as a teaching opportunity and droves of people going to harass and attack a random dude on the internet. Leave it to me. I got the fucking gloves on, okay? Who's got the gloves? Say it with me. This guy's got the fucking gloves. Bottom line is, do as I say, not as I do. I expect you all to hold yourselves to a higher standard than YouTube funny guy. With all that said, let's take the piss. The video that I have dubbed the holotype specimen of Shane's channel is one in which he implies that the band Supertramp had insider knowledge about 9/11.
Okay, this is extremely trippy. We've all seen, you think you know what I'm going to tell you about this.
Are you kidding me?
But there's another hidden message in this picture.
They're like from
that
the
is shocking.
60s
So
or
for those wondering,
70s.
this is Supertramp. It's a UK-based rock band. This image was released in 1979, okay? And you have what's depicted in the New York City skyline. You have salt and pepper shakers here and everything. It's like art.
Dude says they knew 20 years before 9/11 that 9/11 was gonna happen. What the fuck?
But then you have the Twin Towers. Now, this may be what you have.
This is what a 9/11
When we
truthism
zoom
gets
in
you.
to the towers, and you mirror that image. It says 9/11.
I told you guys, this video is going to be fucking great. Okay, so
It's literally
reminder,
just
what
the
we're
word
looking at
up.
is the holotype specimen. So
Flipped backwards.
because of that, I think it's very important that we learn from this. So I want you all to take out your
Jesus
your
in
notebooks
Henrietta
that you brought
Christ.
for this, obviously, and a pencil, because we're going to take our first note now. The first thing that I would like you to note about Shane's holotype specimen is that his content frequently has a flagrant disregard for any sort of logic. Why the fuck would the band Supertramp have insider knowledge about the 9/11 terror attacks on the World Trade Center? And in 1979, no less. And then, with all of that, think to themselves, wow, guys, there's gonna be a terrorist attack in like 20-something years. Wait, 8, 9, 10. Okay. 20-something years. You know what we should totally do? We should leave a cryptic message in an album cover. What? That is just, as a, like, concept, so fucking ridiculous. I don't even know where to begin with it. So let's not begin anymore. Let's just keep going. I think the best thing you can do is just hunker down, guys. It's gonna be a bumpy fucking road.
In front of the Twin Towers. But that's not all. So this is the image mirrored. But look at what we're looking through. This looks like an airplane window. Completely looked like an airplane window. So we're looking through an airplane window at the Twin Towers. It says 9/11 behind them. This was made in 1979. And that's an awful lot of strange coincidences.
Shane, those are not coincidences. All of that is very intentional. And I don't mean intentional of like, they intentionally hid subliminal messages in the album art. I mean intentional in the sense that the album is called Breakfast in America. Not unlike that. The World Trade Center was a symbol of America long before the attacks on 9/11. So they're flying in over the New York City skyline. So you can see the World Trade Center because they were there in 1979 or 8 or whatever it was. The city is made out of diner things because it's called Breakfast in America, and the waitress is serving orange juice in a diner waitress outfit in front of New York City because the album is called Breakfast in America. This is like all the conspiracies I was seeing after fucking Kendrick Lamar's halftime show Super Bowl performance, where it was like people talking about like, you know, Freemasonry and like satanic rituals, which to be fair, they do it literally every Super Bowl ever. But then they talk about all like this hidden symbolism and shit. And I'm like, y'all, Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show was so full of the most on-the-nose symbolism I have ever seen in my life. A fucking fourth grader could probably have picked up on it, and it was fucking great.
Showed the hailing of the Freemason to symbolize how America is in trouble and needs to prepare for the worst.
But you're not picking up on the symbolism. You are digging so deep that you're making up entirely new symbolism that doesn't even fucking exist. But honestly, this is even worse, because this album art isn't even, like, symbolism. It's just fucking art. It says the thing that it is, and then it is that thing. It's not that fucking deep, which is now where I want you to pick up your pencils, because it's time to note the second thing. The theories that he promotes are often so detached from reality that they are almost hard to debunk. Never in my life did I ever expect that I would have to do research to prove that the band Supertramp did not have advanced knowledge of the 9/11 terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center. See, at least with Philip Zeba, he gave, you know, stories that I could trace back. He would make a point and I could make a counterpoint. So research, like, actually worked in that video. But Shane has a little bit more of a vibe of, like, a guy kind of just, like, rambling on a subway. Like, you know what, dude? There very well may be fucking elves living in my walls. I don't know. Actually, no, that one actually, you could check that. You could rip your wall down to see if there's elves in it. And then your family members could come into your house and be like, why are you ripping your walls down? You could say, well, a guy on the subway told me that there was elves in my wall, and then they institutionalize you. That was all that was pretty fucking good. Wow, I told you guys, I write half the jokes, beer writes the other half. Okay, I get one
Beer writes the other half.
ad hominem. One ad hominem attack. I'm allowing myself a single one. The only difference between Shane and the guy on the subway is that Shane looks like a guy that you would meet at a craft brewery in Golden, Colorado, and bond over your shared love of freestyle bouldering. See, you can do ad hominem and have it not be like,
What is
you know,
freestyle
really
bouldering?
offensive and insulting. You can have a little fun with it. You can get jiggy with it or something. I don't fucking know. So that was something kind of unique that I ran into in this video. And that is the fact that debunking this is almost hard, just like me. Pause. That's also why this video was a lot easier to make than my video.
A form of rope-free short height climbing, usually under 6 meters, that focuses on intense technical movement over crash pads for safety. Oh, so it's like climbing with no safety wires or anything. Interesting. No. There we go.
On Philip because Philip just said so fucking much that it took me literal months to be able to like check everything he said. But with this guy, I'm just like, fucking what? Supertramp knew about what? Okay, let's keep going with this one.
And of course, after that fateful day, many lives lost, and our rights and freedoms forever changed. Until we get them back, of course. Now, you may think this is unrelated, but all of these conspiracies cycle back to health. They absolutely are intrinsically connected. They want to control the food supply. They're putting fluoride in the water. They want you to be weak.
Okay, pencils back up. Third point. You see what I mean when I say that he talks a lot about health? I don't think I've ever used the word health more generously in my life. Calling this health is kind of like, you know, calling a horse breaking its leg in a go-kart and you having to shoot it in the head health. Now, this is a little bit of a weird one for me, guys. I gotta be totally honest.
Give me
Some
back
of you
my
may actually
notepad.
feel this as well. In a weird, kind of fucked up way, this is where some parts of me and Shane are like 97% ideologically aligned, which I don't say with any level of pride because they both have such different flavors to them. I talk in my videos quite frequently about the importance of people having control over their food supply. Monsanto or Bayer patenting the genome of crops. Terrible. Billionaires and foreign empires buying American farmland. Terrible. Food deserts that prey on impoverished people and feed them really, really terrible food. Evil. I even talked about this just recently in my video on the Great...
Fucking based, by the way.
raft. Huge portions of this country had absolutely no problem providing for cultures that lived here for thousands of years, and then as the American civilization began to expand, they wiped away all of our ability to produce our own food, and we are now dependent on a system that sells it back to us. We are some of the first generations in thousands of years to not have agriculture be a large part of our lives. Sure, we can say that we have freedom here, if we can even say that anymore actually, but as long as someone controls your food supply, they got you by the balls. In short, food sovereignty gives power back to communities and back to people and back to individuals and out of the hands of the government. It allows us as individuals and as communities to have our own autonomy. And so Shane and I seemingly agree on that. And then he starts talking about fluoride and chemtrails. Another stellar example of how if you go far enough in either direction, you'll just meet right back in the middle. So Shane, I guess, good to be here with you. I find that many conspiracy theorists actually, not always, but sometimes identify actual issues. And then very, very frequently, they will misattribute where those issues are coming from or attribute them to a scapegoat. I've said it before, and I'll say it again.
Yeah, it's like, that's one of the things I've noticed with a lot of conspiracy theories, is that it starts at an actual real-world problem that affects real-life people, and then they, like, attribute it to just some random fuck-ass person. Like, I don't know if you've ever, like, gone into the conspiracy theory rabbit hole before, but in my early 20s, I was very into conspiratorial thinking until I started noticing that literally every single conspiracy theory was like 2 degrees of separation away from just blatant fucking anti-Semitism. So, like, literally, it's basically most modern conspiracy theories nowadays boil down to something wrong with the world, therefore it is this one specific person's problem or this one specific group of people's influence over the planet, and we need to hate them for it.
You don't need to make up an invisible shadow government to be mad at. You can just be mad at the actual government. So since Shane and I share some of the same conviction there, what have I done to with this fervor? You guys know my convictions. I'm like a glorified prepper. I, like I'm sure many of you, have identified the issues, tried to find what the roots of those issues are, and then simultaneously work to dismantle those roots in whatever way I can, but primarily be able to insulate myself, my loved ones, and my community from that issue. And then, more importantly, from all of that, try and inspire others to be able to do the same thing for themselves. My biggest leaps is I now have a homestead here. Really nice to look at, isn't it? I've been learning to grow my own food. I have a farm plot, and I've been working really hard to be involved with my community so that we can rely on one another. I grew a bunch of extra tomato plants this year that I didn't have space for. I gave them to some friends. Now they can have tomatoes. One of my friends had a bunch of extra duck eggs last week. They gave me a bunch of duck eggs. Fucking awesome. I even have a chipmunk. Whenever I sit outside to do work, he comes up to me and eats
I wish I had the kind of resources to do that kind of thing.
Rhonda.
All my homies love this fuck-ass little squirrel.
Rhonda and I are buddies. She is a soft, tiny babiness. So all in all, while me trying to do something about these convictions has been a lot of hard work and a lot of hard work ahead, it has been immensely gratifying, empowering, and rewarding. Now, let's have a little look at Shane. Granted, I don't know
we
the
love
full
seeing
scope
people win.
of what Shane has done about these issues. I only see what he has put online. So he very well may be doing literally everything that I am doing here. So we don't know that, but we know what he's putting online. And this is what he's putting online. Shane has identified some issues in the state of the world. Some of them legitimate, many of them not. He has made people aware of them. Good for him. And the last thing left to do is to give those people that you have made concerned about these issues a call to action. So let's see what Shane's call to action is.
And that's why I take the hot water purified shilajit, which is clinically studied not only to detox fluoride, pesticides, heavy metals, chlorine, herbicides, atrazine, glyphosate, but it also boosts fertility and increases brain function.
Really? He's hawking herbal supplements? See, that's another thing. Most conspiracy theories nowadays are used to market products to you. They are giving you a built-in audience that has a almost religious-like fervor to make them want to use this particular product. And it's absolutely one of the worst ways to do it. Or, well, I mean, as far as like keeping your customers, it's one of the best ways to do it. Because if they all believe that they've got secret information, and you're empowering them with hidden knowledge that the government doesn't want you to know, then they're just gonna pay whatever you ask for that knowledge, for you to make them healthy. But as far as like a human exploitation kind of situation, absolutely one of the worst ways to go. Because you're literally just feeding them a package of lies.
Massively.
Ah, selling supplements. It's just, you see what I mean about the 5-ounce gold nugget? And this is just the beginning, guys. We're just getting warmed up. So take your pencils back up, because it's time to get the fourth point. Shane identifies a lot of issues of varying legitimacies. Legitimacies these nuts. God damn it. Carpe diem. Seize these nuts. That's like not even funny. What? That should not be the thing that is making me laugh the most out of everything I've said in this fucking video so far. Oh fuck! We should do that. Should we do a mini Minuteman bumper sticker? It's like the come and take it flag. Okay, we gotta stop. So anyway, he identifies a lot of issues, some legitimately, but the solution to these problems is almost always, without fail, buy supplements from Shane. Old colorized footage of London. Supplements. Mark Wahlberg saying something about P. Diddy. Supplements. A video of the South Tower collapsing. Fucking
Hormone
supplements.
optimizer to boost super high in antioxidants, boosts stem cell production, extremely potent. Comment free below and check your DMs for details.
I am...
See, the boost stem cell production is one of the worst, absolute worst medical claims I have ever heard. Because literally, if we had the ability to do that, then we would literally just be able to do pretty much anything medically. You could give somebody a serum that boosts, quote-unquote, boosts their stem cell production, which are basically unprogrammed cells, so you could almost entirely regrow organs, for example. You could boost stem cell research, or boost stem cell production, and then subsequently program them and get them, you know, into an order and place them in the right spot. You could literally just regrow an organ. So that is one of the most garbage claims I've ever heard.
Actually impressed, because Shane is, I will say this fucking full-throated, a brilliant marketing strategist. Now, granted, I think that what he is doing and the way he is marketing is highly immoral, but it's marketing. It doesn't have to be moral. You must be doing pretty damn good, because he makes upwards
It's marketing,
of
so it doesn't
every
have to be
single day,
moral.
and all of them are promoting supplements. This company, the company he's promoting, cock.com, chalk.com, don't cock.com, although it might help with your fertility, I don't know. Now, I didn't look much into this company because frankly, you know, hearing a sales pitch for this one supplement, it gets rid of fluoride and heavy metals and pesticides, and it increases testosterone in men, and it increases estrogen in women, and it'll make you capital F fuck, is all I need to hear to smell snake oil about 1,000 miles away. So I'm not looking into this company much because frankly, I don't give a shit. But the one thing that is worth mentioning about this company, cock.com, I shouldn't keep saying that because since people are gonna do it, and they're gonna be like, Milo, you're contributing to people's delinquency. So what? Maybe I am. Okay, wait, stop.
We all need to be more delinquent
Is worth mentioning
immediately.
about this company, chalk.com, is that on the front page of their website is a pre-workout called Chad Mode. It costs, I wish I was kidding, $69, and it has the tagline, "Bring the thunder." Now, fellas, I gotta let you in on a little secret. I can tell you with confidence that just simply by looking at this image, I could feel my testosterone bubbling. You'll be oozing with testosterone. While I had my laptop open to this page, my cat
I don't
want to
ooze testosterone.
her balls grew back. And she didn't even have balls in the first place. In fact, I even grew a third testicle. I even grew a second testicle. Okay, now, wow, we are really fucking off script here. Now, I will get back to the whole supplement thing in a little bit. Believe me, there's a lot to be said on it. But the last thing that I want us to look at is the comments for this holotype video. So reminder, just bringing it back to center, these are comments on the video about Supertramp doing 9/11. All right, take out your pencils again.
Supertramp did 9/11. You heard it here. Okay, so this is one of the things that I don't like the most about my fucking video creation style. I'm currently sitting here trying to go ahead and label all the parts of my video here. I have a system. Teal is like a story cutscene that I need to go through and like cut down, or maybe I don't need to keep it. Yellow is a fight section, or like a long section of like walking with a bunch of fights in it. Orange is clips, and pink, magenta is, well, technically this color is mango, but it's orange. And magenta is stuff that I definitely don't want to keep in the video. Like there's this whole section here where I just basically took a break, walked away from the camera. Pardon? Oh wait, no, I was doing a bunch of upgrading there. So I definitely don't want to keep that in. And then green is a section I 100% want to keep in. And I'm planning on doing like some kind of voiceover for it. So like, that being said, I go back to my stuff here. I have an edit at 3/12/11 for a important event, which is roughly right here somewhere. And it's literally me pausing the video to talk about this hooded figure dude. But then my next one is 3:39, 20 fucking minutes later. So I am 3:39. Sorry, not 29, 39. So yeah, fucking that long. Like 40 times larger than any other clip size that I've gotten from this video so far. Yeah, it's not nearly as long as even this section where I spent like 20 minutes or like 10 minutes, 15 minutes upgrading all of my equipment. Fuck's sake, man. I need to remember to press buttons during my stream. Anyways, future me, I just ranted about bullshit for like 5 minutes, so shut me up.
Because I want you to note down the 3 types of comments that we can expect to see on these videos. The first one comes from this guy, which is a hilarious comment telling Shane to listen to the Logical song from this album. I guarantee you, if you know any song from this album, it is that one. This is a hilarious dig at Shane saying something that is completely just fucking crazy, and this guy saying, you should listen to this because what are you saying? The first category of comment is ones where people say things like this. They have absolutely no problem calling the bullshit, and they are like, dude, what? Now the second category, and one that I find unfortunately to be the most prolific on many of his videos, are comments like these. These are the category of people that just fully believe in what it is that he's saying. And these kind of fall into 2 categories. They're the ones that are really pissed off, like productive programming at its finest. Guys, you know, it really hurts to be just another woke sheep that has been, you know, ingrained with the productive programming to think that Supertramp didn't do 9/11. And the second category of believer is sort of like the thing that is so esoteric, I almost don't even really know what it means. We live in a holographic fractal universe. Within it is a timeline that is also fractal. Every event, and experience in our history shapes and pieces together our future. Being real, guys, that's actually quite beautiful, and I feel like reading it out loud slowly now, I actually understand it for the first time. However, I have no idea what it has to do with Supertramp doing 9/11. Okay, the final one that we need to talk about is one that has a little bit more gravity, and that is this comment. So, this comment is referring to the waitress holding the glass of orange juice on the album art. Now, for those of you that don't spend your time sifting through the most just fucking horrible places in the depths of the internet, you may not be familiar with what this means. In this case, the juice box emoji is a stand-in for the word Jews. The implication here being this album cover is also confirming that Jews did not...
What did I tell you? Every single conspiracy theory is 2 degrees removed from blatant fucking anti-Semitism. And that was only 1 degree. Because they're just saying that literally they've got an anti-Jewish symbol from 50 years later in the album art.
9/11. We got that thing happening. This also has 32 likes, which is quite a lot compared to the other comments on this video and for how many views this video has. That is not great. And so that's the third and final category of comment that we'll see. And thankfully it's not like really common, but I gotta say, there are some comments on Shane's videos that I have noticed disproportionately compared to most other conspiracy accounts that I've seen that have some really gross stuff in them. As a creator, if I was making videos and found that a lot of the people commenting on them were using what I was saying to support pre-existing anti-Semitic beliefs and stereotypes, that would be my cue as a creator to be like, whoa, let's take a big fucking step back here and figure out what I'm saying that could be interpreted like that. We're gonna get into this one more, because unfortunately there's more comments like this as we get into it, but I want to just kind of prepare you for that one, because it's there, and it was in the holotype specimen, so. And you might learn a new dog whistle, so keep an eye out for that one, it's a fun one. So that gives us a pretty good vibe on what Shane's videos are like, the typical story beats. They'll vary a little bit, plus minus on either side from here, but this is the general gist of it. So with all that rambling out of the way, let's start to get into this and talk about how we're gonna handle Shane.
Nice.
I hate to keep invoking Philip Zeba, because this isn't his video. This isn't about him. But since he's the only other video that I've done like this, he's kind of my benchmark. And, you know, he's got a soft spot in my heart and my skull. But at the end of the day, I gotta hand it to the kid. He was a tough nut to crack. He did an awful lot of yapping that required a lot of fucking research and heavy lifting in order to be able to debunk it. There we go. That is not the case with Shane. Philip put a lot of work into his videos. Even if the quality of the information was pretty terrible, the quality of the videos was pretty good. This is not the case with Shane. And lastly, Philip, in his response video to me, mentioned the fact that he's not making any money off this, which is something I'm now more inclined to believe. Shane is.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
So, safe to say, this situation is quite a bit different. With Philip, I addressed my video directly to him. I told him that I thought the core of his content was pretty good and was trying to steer him in a direction to be able to improve it. If anything, Philip kind of came across as having a little bit of an indignant lack of self-awareness, which I can be sympathetic towards. And I hate to say it, but I don't think any of that is the case with Shane. Like, at some point in there, I have to feel like you make a conscious decision where you go like, am I really doing this? Both the supplement peddling combined with sort of the general lack of quality leads me to view Shane Vibes Truth as a bit more of like just a conspiracy slop account. And it kind of hurts me to say that. I think that it's a pretty, even for someone like this, truly, because I do think it's, as a creator, it's a pretty fucking harsh thing to call something a slop account. But Shane's videos are sort of a dime a dozen scattershot of a million different conspiracy theories, seemingly to cast a really broad net of a lot of very paranoid and potentially gullible people with the purpose of pulling them in to sell supplements and courses and, you know, whatever else. For all of
I could
these reasons
totally see
combined,
that.
I will only really be
Oh,
addressing
we have an
the
ad
very
starting in
end
40
of this
seconds.
video to Shane.
I'll pause
give
the
some
video when it
pointers
comes
on how I
by.
think he could direct his energy and his passions in hopes that he'll, you know, take his channel in a better direction. But because of the state and sort of ethos of this channel at present, I'm more inclined to use this as a teaching tool than as an appeal to Shane's morality. Because making money off of 9/11 conspiracy theories by selling supplements is fucking disgusting. I'm not trying to say that as, like, again, like a browbeat here. That's just kind of the way it is. Descending down that, at least to me, kind of feels like you put a fucking electromagnet under the moral compass. When I went to the Society for American Archaeology conference, I met a woman there whose dad
6 seconds
was
till
really
the video
into
or
Alex
till the ad
Jones while she was
starts.
growing up. And her dad apparently fell for it like hook.
Alright, so we're just gonna kind of sit here for a minute. I do think that, like I said, I do think that the conspiracy theory space is, on its face at least, well-meaning. It does seem to want to get to the bottom of some of the worst aspects of the world, but where it fails is assuming that it has the correct, like, stopping before the end, and assuming that it has the correct answer. Which, at least to me, always seems to be that, you know, insert minority group in the United States here is the root of all evil and the result of all of our problems in the world. Which I would say very commonly is the exact opposite of an answer. Probably. There we go. That is a section predominated by battles and walking. Those I'll tend to use whenever I get more towards the, like, long sections where I have to explain something. Otherwise, I just kind of cut them out. See, this right here was one of the most baffling transitions I'd come across. Like, we're at the castle already. And it pans to the moon, Dalamud. And then goes to the map. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, super weird. Where did that leave off at? You know, even now, I wonder if there is some kind of importance to the second moon, because it just keeps panning up to it. Is it like some sort of, I don't know, is it just referencing Dalamud? Is it going to be important later in the story? Is, like, the thing that keeps calling us Mythos locked in the second moon like Bahamut was in 14? I don't know. But it does definitely seem kind of sus. There we go. Welcome back, Twitch.
hook, line, and sinker, everything he said. And InfoWars, Alex Jones' show, follows a very specific beat. Scare the living shit out of people, make them think there's a boogeyman, whatever it may be. Make them think the entire world is out to get them and everything in their reality is a lie, and then sell them supplements. This woman, now an adult, has all sorts of health problems that she attributes to the supplements that her dad made her take when she was a kid because he was watching Alex Jones. Now, in at least my eyes, there is no comparison whatsoever to be made between the ethical, the morality of Shane and fucking Alex Jones. But the reason I tell this story is because, one, it's a pretty similar beat, and two,
So one thing that I've kind of noticed is that these people will sell you something that is 100% completely unregulated on the sheer trust that you understand that they know what they're talking about. So one reason that they do sell supplements is because by and large the vitamin and supplement industry are very unregulated in the United States. So they're literally just designed to allow you to make whatever claims you want, put a disclaimer at the end saying these claims have not been medically tested, if they even are responsible enough to do that. And then at the very end, they're like, yeah, it's $60 and you gotta buy it. Or you're abusing your kids, or the fluoride is gonna get you, or, insert minority group here is gonna win. It's fucking disgusting.
this can actually harm people. Again, I don't know anything about these supplements, and I'm not a fucking health nut. I'm not looking into it. Someone else should, though. I encourage it. But a little alarm bell goes off in my head when it's not, like a doctor selling me medicine. It's a guy on Instagram talking about 9/11. So I'm not inclined to believe that this is something that is necessarily good for your health. And as we've seen in other examples, could actually be detrimental to your health. It probably the most likely option, at least just a fucking waste of money that goes to him or Alex Jones, So anyway, all of that is to say that I'm not super inclined to be very charitable towards Shane because he is exhibiting what I at least view as immensely predatory behavior. So anyway, in this video,
I do agree with that. It is very predatory.
And even bring on a couple surprise guests. I want us all to keep in mind that this video is a lot less about the debunks and is a lot more a case study into accounts like this. And in doing that, help you steer your friends and family away from media outlets that are trying to profit off of their outrage. Okay, holy fuck, I cannot believe that was the preamble to this fucking video. I'm like H Bomber Guy, except I actually make videos. All right, in preparation for this video, I gleaned over Shane's content. I took my favorite videos and I put them in a folder on my desktop called Shane's List of Atrocities. I then broke those videos down into 3 categories: pseudo-archaeology, young earth creationism, and miscellaneous insanity. I then decided to split this video into 2 parts, and potentially a 3rd video on the miscellaneous insanity, because believe me, there's a lot of it. But that's only if you guys actually like these ones and can stomach more of it, so we'll see at the end. Jesus, after all that, I have to start talking about young earth creationism now? I'm ready to go to bed. Good lord.
So, young earth creationism to me has always been like some ideology that I've thoroughly bullied. I've never believed that it has any sort of ideological weight in the modern day. Don't get me wrong, you should question things, but a theory as old as, deep time is unquestionable. To the extent that, so at least in the United States, young earth Christian creationism is a pretty common idea. Well, not pretty common, but it's the most common version of young earth creationism. And specifically, they say that the world is about 6,000 years old. And that there's evidence all over the place to support that. But at the same time, there's a colonial organism in Colorado that's 9,000 years old. collectively. Like it's like each individual tree is a clone of the previous tree that dates back 9,000 years. So we have something that's alive right now that is 3,000 years older than you believe the universe is. So I've really never thought it was a good idea, never put any philosophical weight into it, so this is just kind of going to be like a section that I thoroughly disagree with.
Costume change. Boom. Scene change. Boom. How the fuck am I gonna set this up? What am I doing here? Does this work as a table?
Me when I'm creating content.
Yeah, that seems...
Like, how the fuck do I even do this?
Safe. Maybe we don't do that. Got it. Wow, yeah, I don't think there's anything better for this video, actually, than this. And then I can put my drink on here. Fuck, this is awesome. It's like beer. It's like beer, but for, 10 a.m. or whatever it is. LeBron. It's an entirely new day of me filming. As you can tell, it is gonna be like 85 outside today. And again, this studio is a freezer in the winter and an oven in the summer. So I've had to strip down, and I'm ready to sweat my balls off here filming this video. This is why I'm filming this at 10 a.m. Because if I wait any longer, I will die. As you can see, if you look to my left, I have brought all of Shane's videos with me, and I am fucking ready to rock. In my last video on, the creationist textbook, I had someone email me and they were like, "Yo, Milo."
Oh wait, is that the Of Pandas and People? I really want to see that video.
In that room. And frankly, I don't know what the fuck would make you guys ever think that I'd be exposed to anything harmful in this room. Okay, Shane doesn't understand geology. It's honestly kind of surprising to me how many conspiracy theories are hinged on people not understanding geology. Like, so many different conspiracies from so many different categories. Giant footprints, it's all people just not understanding geology. Most out-of-place artifacts are people just not understanding geology. Even the very first video that I ever did here on YouTube on the melted buildings theory was just based on a guy not understanding geology. That is to say, I've seen a lack of understanding of geology used to back up everything from young Earth creationism to pseudo-archaeology. My theory for why this is that geology isn't something that is really taught in like a standard school curriculum, and so all kinds of conspiracy theories have a really easy time preying on that sort of general ignorance. I personally never even really thought about geology until high school when I took a course on glacial geology, which was really fucking fascinating. And then by the time I got to college, I had a really amazing professor for one of my geology classes that got me absolutely hooked on it. Now, as much as I love this field...
So personally, I never really had an interest in science when I was in school. I never really had a teacher that made it fun. It was always kind of boring and didactic to me. But then I got in AP physics in high school, and my teacher was like, he would make questions where it was like, the Green Lantern can lift any object, but he has to understand the physics calculations behind it to know exactly what force he was applying to the car or whatever. So as long as he could imagine it and do the calculation in his head, he could do it. So we would have to like do the physics calculations of Green Lantern lifting a car, or the drag resistance of the Green Arrows punching bag arrows. It was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen, and honestly, like, ignited my passion for learning about the natural world. So, highly recommend, if you are a teacher or want to get into teaching, then 100% just figure out some dorky, nerdy thing and fucking do that. Awesome.
Consider myself sort of a, armchair expert in it. I am by no means a geologist, or an actual expert in it, for that matter. Now, while an armchair
Like, to put it in perspective, I graduated from high school in 2009, had that class in 2007, I think it was. Yeah, 2007, I think. And, like, I still remember it. I still remember the looks on the guys' faces. I remember most of the scenarios that he gave us. It was awesome. If you're a science creator, if you're a math creator, or teacher, sorry, math teacher, science teacher, do that shit. Like, give it real world examples. do something that links it to, like, some pop culture aspect, it will make it so much more fun and interesting.
Understanding of geology, or a functioning brainstem is typically enough to dismantle most of the pseudo-geology we see. I thought for the sake of this video we should bring someone on who actually knows what the fuck they're actually talking about. And so as I was putting this section of the video together, I thought there was only one person for the job, and that is, of course, Kate Larson. Some of you may be familiar with her work. She uses the handle Groovy Geologist and is a geology communicator on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. She is a wellspring of knowledge in the field and was my top pick for someone to help me kind of metabolize and cope with the absolute horror that we are all about to witness. So before we get into the
lemon and
aforementioned
stem.
horror, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to present to you the woman of the hour. You know her, you love her. She looks like she teleported here from 1972. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Kate Larson.
Thanks for the introduction, Milo. If you don't know me, my name is Kate. I'm a geologist and professional science communicator. I teach geology concepts for a living, but you're stronger than me because I wouldn't touch conspiracy videos if I'm so old. I fear of losing all of my life force. You showed me these guys' videos and I was
Understandable.
watching this. It's like he's like force draining anything with brain cells. I genuinely think that this aged me by years. Like if you were to radiometrically date me right now, the ratio of parent to daughter isotopes would have changed drastically. Getting ahead of myself. I gotta say though, it's genuinely upsetting what people can do with a single misunderstanding. Something we talk about a lot in the SciComm community is how people become skeptical of science. It literally stems from either not knowing or like critically misinterpreting one or two fundamental concepts, and then it just snowballs from there. It's okay to be skeptical of science. That's a big part of how it advances. But when you lack a core understanding of the things that we already...
I just realized this whole, like, TV setup that I've got going on is, like, blocking my timeline so you can't see any of the things I'm doing. My bad.
already know to be facts and have proven again and again through replicated data and all these experiments, you have nothing to stand on. So it seems to me like this guy, Shane, either didn't take earth science in high school, which is totally understandable because it's not required in every US state, which is fucked up, or he just might have misunderstood one or two concepts early on, and now that's skewing how he interprets everything else. So we're gonna dive into that. Before we do so though, something I love about Milo's videos is that he knows what he has to do to cope with some of this madness, and I do the same thing. I host a weekly live geology lesson on Twitch called Rocks and Hops, in which I drink a beer while teaching you a geology lesson. And like a true geologist, I drink it out of my geologic timescale glass. We're gonna edit this out, right?
Thanks, Kate. Good to have you here. I'm sorry to do this to you.
Okay,
Kate,
yeah,
I already came prepared with a drink.
Rocks and hops, I think is what she said. I'm gonna go check that out real quick. Channel, no, not my channel, back to Twitch. Let me see. Is her channel in the description of this video? Oh, it's just Groovy Geologist. Okay, gotcha. Oh yeah, definitely. I love this kind of shit. It looks like our next stream is in 7 days, though. So you have to wait a bit to actually watch your content. Or, I mean, you can watch your VODs. It also looks like she doesn't save her videos. Alright, well, anyways, let's get back to the video.
You know, for this, it's energy drink hours, but I feel like I kind of have to have a beer now. It is 10:50 a.m., but, you know, they say 11 a.m. is 5 o'clock in Vermont, so I'm only 10 minutes early. Don't give in to peer pressure, kids. Again, do as I say, not as I do. How many layers of drinks can I have for this video? You know, Kate, you came prepared for the Milo Rossi video by having a beer. But the next step in the process is how you open it, you know? Phew, that was good. Now, while I may have had a slightly interesting opening instrument, what you did beat me on is your mug. Couldn't find anything that's quite as good as what you have, so I am going to be drinking this. It isn't even mine. One of my friends was drinking wine out of this the other night and left it here. So, thanks, Gabby. I'm going to be using your mug for this. Fucking 5-year-old core. Oh, Jesus. And, you know, notes for both of us, we can both work on our pores. Oh, yeah, and ready for this shit? Check that out.
Oh,
Bottoms
shit.
up. Kate is going to be popping in
I
throughout
want
the
that,
geology section
unironically.
to offer a little bit more informed geological information about why everything you're about to see is insane. And with that, let's actually get into this, you know, 4 hours into this video. You guys have an immense amount of patience. Or you're also like me and you're like, wow, this video is 2 hours long? Perfect. I don't even care what it's about. I just don't have to change the video for 2 hours. I know you. I know who you are.
See, he hit the fucking nail on the head. Sometimes when I'm doing something like grinding in an MMO or something, I just really just want something that I don't have to repeatedly press, you know, next video, or like I'm in the middle of a dungeon and it's like I can't take my pointer away from the screen. So yeah, absolutely perfect.
This looks to be like it's throwing a wrench in the gears in the official story of how Earth.
Okay, so can we just talk about why were all the mountains under the ocean? It's because literally prior to like tectonic activity, the mountains were underneath the fucking ocean, and then like the tectonic plates collided, causing them to force upwards.
Earth came to be and what the timeline of events was.
Wow, Milo, this is the first video you can't crash out yet. I always point out when there's language like this, the official story, the dominant paradigm, the mainstream narrative. Well, terms like mainstream archaeology or super cringe, it's important to look at them because I think they actually highlight part of the underlying mentality that victims of conspiracy theories have. And that is,
I really like that term.
A contrarian is a...
He called them a victim of conspiracy theories. So if they aren't like peddling these potentially dangerous supplements, I would agree with calling them victims. But most of them do. They have like sponsorships from these stupid, untested, unverified I mean, literally, it could be anything. Like, it's genuinely one of the most unregulated markets in the United States. So, absolutely would call the average Joe who just kind of watches a video here and there on conspiracy theories and kind of distrusts the government a little bit, would call them a victim of conspiratorial thinking. But the people who actually produce this content, no. They are not victims. They might have at one time been a victim of the thought process, but they are no longer.
Exactly what it sounds like. It's somebody who takes something that is widely accepted and backed up and then just goes, nuh-uh. A contrarian doesn't have a reason to doubt widely accepted science other than the fact that it is widely accepted science. This creates a mentality that revolves around taking anything that we know and rejecting it purely on the basis of the fact that we know it. It's honestly really fucking embarrassing. I don't know why people think shit like this is cool. It kind of feels like the grown-up version of, like, you know, that kid in middle school that just like needed to have like a quip for everything and like an argument for everything. I think I was that kid, actually. The only difference is I grew the fuck out of it. Actually, guess I didn't, because this is what I do for a living, isn't it? Shit. Anyway, contrarians are like these weird, gullible, tech bro, Joe Rogan fan pick-me girls. And probably the greatest crime against humanity that I see, you know, conspiracy grifters doing to their victims is giving them this contrarian mentality. It's one thing to push a specific conspiracy theory that's dog shit and stupid. It's an entirely different layer of evil to then sow the seeds of making your victims doubt literal reality. Admittedly, it leads to some just delicious little sound bites, but at the end of the day, it's not only kind of pathetic, but it's also really sad.
They say if the news is fake, imagine how bad history is. Well, these guys are finding seashells and all kinds of stuff, which people find seashells all the time that are old. Except they're at the top of a mountain. And that means this mountain was under an ocean at one point. But how long ago? According to official sources, about 3 billion years ago. Do these look like 3 billion year old shells? Let me know.
I have a hunch that's a rhetorical question, but I'll let you know. No, Shane, those do not look like 3 billion year old shells. Not only do those not look like 3 billion year old shells, but there are no 3 billion year old shells for those to even look like. Because, and I cannot even believe I have to point out an error that is this fucking obvious, there were no shells 3 billion years ago. Doesn't that like predate multicellular life? That's like really fucking old. Come on, Wi-Fi, work with me. I'm Google debunking here. Okay, yeah. The most complex life that we had about 3 billion years ago was the beginning of multicellular cyanobacteria. There were no fucking shells, Shane, is what I'm trying to say here. I can't believe I even have to say this shit. Where are you getting this information from? He said this whole thing of, according to official sources, 3 billion years ago. Horse shit, Shane. That is absolutely wrong. Okay, I need to take a fucking breather. Kate, I'm passing this one off to you. You're up to bat.
Okay, get this. Even though I have no idea where this is or what his official sources are, I am 1000% sure that mountain was not underwater 3 billion years ago, and those shells are not 3 billion years old. Whoever told him that was lying, or he's lying. Could go either way, because people in this corner of conspiracy are known to just lie to get their point across. No, I'm not going to lie to you. That mountain did used to be underwater, but not in the way that you're thinking, and definitely not in recent times like his content implies. Without having the knowledge or understanding of plate tectonics, which most of the population doesn't, it's very easy to go to a place and see that there's seashells there and assume that this whole place must have been underwater, as in sea level was above the modern day elevation of the mountain. And that's a perfectly normal thought process and a pretty decent interpretation given what most people know about geologic processes and Earth history. It is incorrect though, and I'm going to tell you exactly how we know that. This is going to need a lot of beer. First, let's establish some baseline principles of geology that have been proven again and again for hundreds of years. The law of original horizontality says that sedimentary rock layers form flat because of gravity. So underwater, where the rock in the video was formed, we can tell that because there's marine fossils in it. We know that was formed by sediment settling on the ocean floor. And during that process, it was burying some creatures, and under the right conditions, some of them wound up being preserved as fossils. That means that fossils included in a layer of rock are pretty close in age to it, but like slightly older because of the law of inclusions. That says something included in a rock must be older than it because it had to first exist to wind up in the thing that would later become rock. And by the way, this happens over millions of years, where sediment becomes solid rock through a process called lithification, and those creatures become fossils through mineralization. And because of this, we say that they're pretty much the same age. This is also why we have margins of error when talking about absolute ages, but it's very minuscule compared to billions of years of Earth's history. But we'll talk about that later when this guy ultimately attacks radiometric dating, because you know he will. Anyways, now we have this rock that formed at the bottom of the ocean, and now
I could sense it coming.
What happened? Because I don't know where this is, Since the guide specifically chose to leave out all of context, I wonder why. I can't tell you the exact geologic events that contributed to this or when they happened, but I can tell you some baseline stuff that would lead to the formation of stuff like this. There had to be some sort of uplift that would take rock from the bottom of the ocean and lift it up above sea level. Because, you know, what this guy wants you to think, and he wants you to ignore all the facts, he wants you to think that the Great Flood happened and sea level was the thing that changed. Now, there could have been a change in global sea level, but not to the degree that you would get rock from the bottom of the ocean to a mountaintop. Let's just knock that out right now. This uplift was likely caused by landmass collision in one way or another. Now, we're going to talk about plate tectonics in a bit more detail later in the video, so let's keep it simple for now. There are two kinds of crust on the Earth's surface, continental and oceanic. Tectonic plates can be all oceanic or all continental or a combination of both, and North America is a great example of that. The land, or the continent, is made up of continental crust, and the ocean, you know, the ocean floor, is oceanic crust. The different kinds of crust have different densities, which impacts the way that they interact with each other at plate boundaries, where all the cool stuff happens. New crust can be created, old crust can be destroyed, crust can, you know, shoulder check each other, or just straight on, it's like bash heads like goats. Okay, we gotta use hands for this. In this case, two tectonic plates were colliding with each other, and because at least one of them had oceanic crust, it was sliding underneath the other one, and that's that density difference that decides which one bottoms, essentially. This process is called subduction, but you can call it plate bottoming if you want to. If the
Plate
angle
bottoming,
of
I
the
like that
subducting
term.
plate is shallow enough, it might push up the plate that's on top. Now, if that were the end of it, we would see the layers right here, this rock, still be horizontal, the principle of original horizontality. But if you look in the video, those rocks are they're tilted. Something had to happen there. They didn't form like that. There had to be some kind of deformation that got them to look like that. All right, so for this demo, we have to add rocks to the mix because my hands can't move in every kind of way, unfortunately. So we've got our two tectonic plates that both have continental crust, the rocks, and oceanic crust, fingers. So we've got one that's subducting under the other. Oh, wait. Continental crust cannot subduct underneath oceanic crust. It can't subduct at all. It just what happens? Oh god. See, I knew that was going to happen. You got the idea before that happened, right? You know, you got scrunkling. This is what we call an orogeny, or mountain building event. And it's a very slow process that takes millions and millions of years. So we know that these rocks are not modern day rocks, which means those fossils, those shells, are not modern day shells either. At least, though, not in the way that counts. Because if you look at them, and they look like clams, that's because they are. Clams are bivalves, and they've been around for 500 million years. Weird thing about me, especially since I'm a geologist, is that I am thoroughly obsessed with marine invertebrates of the ancient worlds. So I did hours of research on this because I love a good fossil mystery. And I believe this one here is from the Cardidae family, which popped up around 200 million years ago. And many species are still around today, and you can find them at the beach and at restaurants because they're cockles. So yeah, it's honestly a good observation to say that these fossils look like modern day shells, but that doesn't mean that you should forego all the evidence that says this rock is millions and millions of years old and it was not at mountain height when it formed. Also, remember the law of inclusions? If like clams, bivalves didn't exist until 500 million years ago, there's no way that that rock can be older than that. My closing thoughts for the claims in that video, the ocean did not used to be as tall as mountains. Mountains used to be as short as oceans, and they only got that high over the course of hundreds of millions of years.
Thanks, Kate. I literally could not have said it better myself, which is why I let you do it. Party time. Something I think is really funny about this video is how much of it is based not on just misunderstanding things, but just like
straight up lying. His entire claim for this video was that the evidence he was going to present throws a wrench in the gears of the official story, and then he just straight up lies about how old the rocks are, which, like, you know, to him may seem like, what's the matter if I lied about how old the rocks are? It absolutely fucking matters. It's the difference between what you're saying being plausible and just being completely incompatible with fucking reality. The dude said the rocks were 3 billion years old, which predates the oldest bivalve fossils by 2.5 billion years. Billion with a B. Again, I know that geology is not like a thing that we're well versed in, but I literally cannot even stress to you how much of an error that is. On top of the actual lying, he also just lies by omission, by just not telling anyone what these fucking mountains are. You know, the last thing you want to do as a conspiracy theorist is give people the tools they need to actually do their own research. The craziest thing is that he even says, according to official sources, meaning that, you know, call me crazy, but to me that implies that there is an official source that he's then just not fucking giving. But I think I'm going overboard and even assuming there actually is an official source, because the thing that he's attributing to the official source is completely and utterly incorrect. The fact that this entire video is just based on him straight up lying is made even funnier by the quote that he opens with in the beginning. If they say the news is fake, imagine how bad history is. Remember, folks, when it comes to conspiracy theorists, every accusation is a confession. Let's have a quick look at the comments of this video before we move on to the next one. Damn, they can tell us 3 billion years ago the Earth was underwater, but would that hold up in court? Wouldn't all the evidence be circumstantial? Were there any witnesses? Oh my god, that's such a fucking... Oh, these people drive me insane. Honestly, it's been giving me a large amount of pause to try and tell myself that Shane really is just a rage bait account that I've fallen for, because I have a hard time believing that a person like this actually exists. Were there any witnesses?
I would agree.
Were you there for 3 billion years of Earth's geologic history? I don't think so. Crazy thing to say as well for someone promoting creationism, where that argument would also work for them. Shane, were you...
So, fun fact, in like court cases, eyewitness testimony is probably widely regarded as the worst form of proof out there. Because, oh my god, is it so terrible. Like, you can ask 3 different people, like, the events of a car crash, and we've, like, 6 people objectively witnessed it, 3 stuck around to kind of help out and, you know, do the police report, and you'll get 3 different fucking reports, and later online you'll get 2 completely different ones.
There when God created the world by snapping his fucking fingers? I don't think so. The only difference between not being a witness to all of Earth's geologic timeline and divine creation is that we have evidence for all of Earth's geologic timeline. What about carbon dating? We will discuss that scam later. Yeah, Shane, I would love to hear the guy who thinks that clams existed 3 billion years ago try to understand fucking radiocarbon dating. Please, make my fucking day. And the best part, you ready for this shit? Disclaimer.
I think radiocarbon dating is only accurate to like a maximum of less than 10,000 years. Because for the vast majority of things, carbon is just no longer in the object after that long. And on top of that, you don't radiocarbon date things that were underneath the sea because they have an increased amount of carbon inside of them compared to, like, open air. So yeah, super weird thing to, like, talk about there.
This video is for entertainment purposes only, and not to be taken as fact. I'm trying to keep professional here. But the only thing I can think to say when I see something like that is that, Shane, you are, how do I say this really nicely? A coward. I don't have the words in the English language to, see, I told you, to express how fucking insufferable it is to watch someone poison the knowledge of humanity and then at the end tack on a little disclaimer being like, lol, just for jokes. That is like actually fucking disgusting behavior. It's like that fucking meme of like this woman who is like, I dated this guy.
And I'm gonna keep going back to this, but the dude literally sells you untested, unverified, unproven to work supplements that may not even contain the shit that they claim it has in it. So he's doing this all while saying, "Lol, no, just don't trust anything I say." It's kind of like the whole Fox News defense, where they're like, if anybody thinks that what we say is really the news, then you're an idiot, basically, in the whole, like, Rupert Murdoch thing. I have to do some research on that. I don't remember exactly what case it was. I think it was with Bill O'Reilly was involved in it, and they were like, well, any of the stuff that our reporters talk about on Fox News, like Fox and Friends and Bill O'Reilly show, is not to be taken seriously, because it's not news, it's just an opinion show. Like, what the fuck, man? You were literally driving an entire generation's voting habits, and you want to be like, nope, anything we say is their opinion. It's not fact.
Guy who was like 5'4".
You're a
and he
news
would always,
organization.
like, start shit with,
You
like,
peddle
huge,
facts.
Like, 6'3" dudes at bars, and then, like, right when they were about to knock him the fuck out, he would hit them with the yo, I'm just a little guy, I'm just fucking with you. Shane, like, gives that heavy. Yeah, I know I'm, like, poisoning society with my lies and misinformation, but, like, hey, dude, it's just for entertainment. You're overreacting. It's not that deep. Chill out. Fucking insufferable. Genuinely fucking insufferable. Let's move on.
Now, in this evolution theory, it's said that dinosaurs evolved and they were around 250 million years ago, and they were running around evolving.
And they were running around evolving. Look at me, out here, running around evolving. Maybe if I think really hard, I can grow wings. Fuck! Oh, I need to be running around to evolve. Okay, I'm gonna run 3 laps, and I'm gonna grow a tongue like a fucking chameleon. This is gonna be the dilemma I have in every video that I talk about Shane. Trying to figure out whether or not he genuinely doesn't understand what he's talking about, or if he's just intentionally making himself sound like a moron. Either way, as funny as running around evolving is, it's a classic creationist tool used to infect the minds of their flock to make them doubt science. This same strategy works for many different topics and sort of just revolves around taking a complex scientific idea that's well understood and oversimplifying it so much that you can just trivialize it and say, see, isn't that stupid that they believe that? Y'all remember in my ruining my Instagram Reels algorithm video, that, like, creationist Big Bang doesn't exist clip? You know, this one.
Wow.
It's exactly like that, where creationists take the term Big Bang and then, you know, interpret it as like a literal explosion in the sky, and then the Earth existed, which is just not at all how it works. And by them presenting it like that, they are, again, just fucking lying. Good point, Shane. I'm running around right now, and I'm not evolving. Those silly evolutionists have no idea what they're talking about. I know you don't need me to explain this to you, but this isn't how fucking evolution works. Evolution takes fucking countless generations to work. It works very slowly. If you don't understand this, just type evolution into fucking Google and read Wikipedia. I promise you, it's really...
So basically, like, I actually had this conversation with one of my family members, and it's like, the way I explained it to them was, if you and your spouse have a kid, that kid is not going to look exactly like you or exactly like your spouse. So, in a way, they are slightly different from you. Doesn't make them any less human. Doesn't make you any less human. But you guys are slightly differently genetically. And over the course of, you know, successive generations, like, you don't look like your great-great-grandfather. I don't look like my great-great-grandfather. So, something has changed. And those changes eventually add up, and they become enough to where, essentially, you can't interbreed the species, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So then it kind of, at least by the scientific definition, becomes a different species. They may look vastly similar. Like, a ring-tailed parrot and a cockatiel may look really, really similar in the terms of, like, they're birds, they have wings, they have beaks that are kind of in the same shape, they're at least on their mouths. But they, like, if they laid an egg together, or had an egg together, then it wouldn't be able to produce viable offspring. So, they are different species.
Fucking simple. Anyway, this is more of a biology thing than a geology thing, but I just had to chip in to say something here. So let's get back to geology.
Now you can Google this next part for yourself, but it is laughable. To identify how old a layer of rock is, they use something known as index fossils, which is a species of animal that lived within an approximate time period, so they know that that rock layer is about that old. But how do they know that that fossil lived around that approximate time period? Well, it is judged by what layer of rock it's found in. So the layer of rock tells you how old the fossil is, and the fossil tells you how old the layer of rock is. That's called circular reasoning. The other way they tell you rocks are hundreds.
I really fucking hate that argument, because that is not at all how it's done. Oh god, I hate this young earth creationism bullshit. That is not it at all. So essentially what happens is, say an archaeologist will date the fossil based on what rock layer it's in, and they will take samples from the soil surrounding it. They will test that for how old the particular soil samples are. They may not even use carbon dating. It may be potassium argon, or fuck it, that's the only example I can think of right off the top of my head. But they're like, at least the last time I looked at it, there are like 10 reliable methods for dating soil samples. And yeah, that's basically what they'll do. They'll just test that and take a sample of the rock surrounding the fossil, test it, and then, like, initially, yes, they may say, oh, it's found in this particular layer, so we think it's this old. But then later on, they'll come back and after they've tested everything, they'll be like, yeah, we confirmed it was this old. Or, no, we were wrong. It's completely different. It just kind of looked like this one thing. We thought it was something else.
Millions of years old is by using radiometric dating. Trace radioactive impurities are selectively detected, and they can tell how old they are, apparently. But this method of dating was called into question after Mount St. Helens erupted in the 1980s. They tested the lava with this method, and it came back between 350,000 to 2.8 million years old. Comment your thoughts below and follow for more.
That sounds really fascinating, Shane. I'd never heard of that paper, but you've piqued my interest. An entire form of dating, an entire field of study written off by a single paper? This sounds like some pretty groundbreaking stuff. Sounds very scientific, and I'm sure is something that you researched very heavily, because Lord knows you wouldn't want to be spreading any misinformation here. Right? Also, absolutely delightful to hear someone complain about circular reasoning when the entire line of reasoning for all these videos is, I don't know, Bible said so. Anyway, Kate did us the honor of peer reviewing this information, and I'm gonna let her explain this one to you.
Yes, everyone's got a problem with dating, and I wouldn't expect any less from this guy. But it's honestly pretty understandable coming from him, because he is definitely not learning from reliable sources. He's citing search engine AI overviews, which are known to be not very factual, especially in geology, because I did an investigation on this last year with Proof News. I guess we'll put a link to that in the description if you want to see how bad AI is at explaining geology topics. One of the biggest problems that I have with it is that it's scraping information from every website that talks about this, including the ones that contain debunked pseudoscience, confirmation bias. Moving on, relative dating is a method that we use to correlate rock layers with each other without knowing their absolute numerical ages. We just know if they're older, younger, or the same age as another layer of rock. And this is built around another principle of geology called the law of superpositioning, which says rock layers on the bottom are older than rock layers on the top because the layers on the bottom had to exist first in order to get buried by younger rock layers. And by the way, all these principles are actually the fundamentals of stratigraphy, which is the study of rock layers and how they correlate with each other. And it's what I'm going to grad school for. I love this shit. Something that Shane brings up right away when talking about relative dating is index fossils, and the AI overview tells him that they're used to know the ages of rocks, which is true. But then, like a normal person, this is a very normal thing to be curious about. He looks up how we know the ages of index fossils, and the AI gives him an unhelpful answer that he interprets as circular reasoning by scientists rather than, maybe this isn't a good source of information. The use of index fossils is built upon the principle of faunal succession, which says if a rock layer contains an index fossil, then we know that rock had to form during the time window, usually a brief time window, relative in Earth's history, that guy existed. And if you find that same guy in another rock layer, even in another part of the world, you know that those two rock layers must be around the same age. The thing is, before radiometric dating, we didn't know exactly how old these were. We just knew how old they were in relation to each other, relative dating. And we didn't have all the answers, but we got pretty detailed with it, largely because geologists are really good at pattern recognition. So when radiometric dating was invented in the early 1900s, we were finally able to get numerical ages of this stuff. And those numbers have only gotten better and better as technology has improved and new research has fine-tuned major events. Shut up. There's always crime in my neighborhood. How it works is by measuring radioactive isotopes trapped in a mineral when it crystallizes. As these parent isotopes decay into daughter isotopes, you can compare the ratios of remaining isotopes and calculate how much time has passed since that mineral formed. So there is an unfortunate hang-up in this method, and it's something that young Earth creationists and conspiracy theorists throw back at us and say, well, this can't be true. You can't possibly say this is right, because they're missing a fundamental key thing, and that's we know that you can't use this on sedimentary rocks. We know that. And we don't. Because if you were to date a sedimentary rock, what you'd actually be dating is a mineral grain, like a grain of sand. And that came from a different rock, because sedimentary rocks are made of sediments from other rock. So that wouldn't be telling you the age of the sedimentary rock. It would be telling you the age of some completely irrelevant rock that is definitely much, much older. This particularly sucks because sedimentary rocks are where fossils are, index fossils. So how do we get the ages of the rocks and of the index fossils? By using a combination of relative and radiometric dating. So along the same lines as index fossils, we have these things called marker beds, which are really easily identifiable beds in a sedimentary sequence that we can trace over large distances and multiple rock formations. These beds point to a very specific time in Earth's history. This rock layer, no matter where it is, we know it all formed at the same time. Sometimes these are just sedimentary, which is very useful in relative dating, but still can't use it for radiometric dating unless it's volcaniclastic. Breaking up that word, volcana, volcano, clastic. Clasts, which is the word that we use for the pieces that are inside sedimentary rock, like the grains and sediment that make it up. Volcaniclastic beds are strata, layers of rock that are either partly or entirely made up of volcanic material, like ash or glass, that, after an eruption would settle into a basin along with all the other sediments and then would become a very identifiable layer within the layers of sedimentary rock. And yes, you can date that shit. Ash beds are a holy grail in SedStrat, and they were a huge part of my undergrad research because of how useful they are in correlating other rock formations. And this is where relative dating comes in. Because let's say there's two ash beds in a section of rock. And this is something that I saw in my research area, and they were just meters apart in the rock wall. So we've dated both of these ash beds, and we know how old they are. We have a number for it. We now know the range of age that the rock in between it is, even though it's sedimentary rock and we can't radiometrically date it. But wait, there's a special fossil in there, an index fossil that we previously didn't have an age for. We now know the very specific range that it has to be in age, and we can use that now to date every other rock layer that index fossil shows up in all around the world. Now, the rest of Shane's video takes an unfortunate turn because it's not based on a fundamental misunderstanding, it's based on straight up lies. And we're gonna drink. We need to drink sometimes. Unsurprisingly, he doesn't give any source for this Mount St. Helens dating incident, but I did 5 minutes of digging and found that it came out of the Institute for Creation Research, which spouts
I hate
all
that
this
organization.
pseudoscience about how the Earth is actually really young and that millions of scientists are wrong about it in the exact same way. How about that? The incident was documented by a man named Steve Austin, not to be confused with Stone Cold Steve Austin. This guy is more like Stone for Brains Steve Austin because it just seems like he doesn't have a single real thought up there. Anyways, in the 90s, he conducted this research project where he dated what should have been like around 10-year-old rock, but because he got this absurd number, he's like, well, radiometric dating is actually bogus, and everything that we've used it for is now null and void. Now, I read the paper that he wrote about this, and I scrolled to the methods section, and I knew instantly why he got that number. The dumbass used potassium argon dating, which is arguably one of the worst possible choices for a rock this young. Potassium 40 decays into argon 40 at a half-life of 1.25 billion years. That means in the 10 years since the eruption, there only would have been a 0.00000000055% decrease in potassium. I don't know if the 8 zeros made it clear, but that's virtually undetectable. Like, respectable geologists with knowledge of geology and radiometric dating, if that's what the research that they're trying to do, know that potassium argon dating is only used for things older than 20,000 years because it literally cannot show a difference for less than that. Even more so, we know that it's most accurate beyond 100,000 years, all the way up to 4.5 billion years. When you want to date rock that you know is relatively young, you use another kind of radiometric dating, maybe uranium thorium, which is highly accurate from just a couple of years up to 600,000 years because of how fast uranium-238 decays.
Uranium also decays at a relatively steady rate, so its half-life is pretty predictable. So it is, in my opinion, one of the, like my lay opinion, one of the more strong dating methods.
This guy claims to have a PhD in geology. Like, there's no way he's that stupid. Either that, or he's deliberately trying to discredit radiometric dating to serve his own agenda. Could go either way, honestly. A smart person is skeptical of research with little credibility, and the truth of the matter is, this guy does not have any work published in peer-reviewed journals that are outside of the niche creationism community. That should tell you something. Confirmation bias.
Exactly.
Again. Yeah, Stonebrain Steve Austin is a hack of a geologist and an absolute disgrace to our field, and I hope I run into him at a conference before he croaks so I can spill beer on his shoes. Stonebrain Steve Austin. I'm funny.
Stonebrain Steve Austin. I'm gonna give you that one, Kate. That's pretty fucking funny. I don't think I ever would have thought of that. See, this is why we need you on YouTube, making YouTube videos. It's pretty funny, right? We need more people doing this. We need more people taking the piss on YouTube, making jokes about stones and things. So as we can see, all of the evidence in this video that claims to overturn, you know, the entire field of geology is predicated on two things. A guy quoting a bullshit article from a creation scientist without reading it, understanding it, or presumably even knowing what it means, and a guy using the fucking AI answers section on Google. This is what I mean when I say that Shane's research makes Philip Ziba look like a fucking PhD student. The absolute audacity to claim that you know more than all of science and your source is the AI answers section on Google, and you not understanding science. The comments on this video are also just fucking delightful, I might add. Also, they carbon dated a sea lion's bones, who they knew died a couple weeks ago, and it showed something like 4 million years old. Oh, something like 4 million years old. Damn, that's, I believe that. Do we want to get any more context here? As we've talked about, you know, there's always some outstanding things for dating methods that scientists know and take into account when they date things. So do you want to look at the literally hundreds of thousands to millions of examples of radiocarbon dating working? Or do you want to just find
Yeah.
one time where something anomalous happened that you're not going to source and use that as an excuse?
See, that's one of the hugest like examples of why you need to select for the proper radiometric dating method, because, like I said, underwater organisms contain vastly more carbon than open air comparisons. So, if you are going to carbon date a clam, for example, versus a, I don't know, a plant that you found in your backyard. Well, let's say like an organism that you found kind of. Here's a perfect example. A like 16,000-year-old or a 6,000-year-old pottery piece of pottery. Then you would get vastly different amounts of carbon in the two of them. The underwater one would be orders of magnitude greater than the one that you found just buried in the yard somewhere. But we have an ad break that starts in 30 seconds, and I really need to use the restroom, so we are actually going to take a short break here, and I'll be back in a minute. Don't go anywhere. Oh no, I don't have a be right back screen. Oh, I do. Hello, everyone. I'm back. Okay. That's concerning. That was weird. Why did that break? I don't know why. It worked the second time.
Used to be like, see, God is real. Which brings us very nicely to the comment under that one, which is just Christ is Lord, which I see a lot in these videos too. And like, go off, King. If that's your truth, fucking good for you, bro. Good for you. What the fuck does that have to do with Mount St. Helens? No fucking idea. The thing about Shane is that he's just so insanely off the mark almost at all times that it's actually kind of impressive. This also highlights something that I find to be really entertaining about contrarian bullshit artists like Shane. They spend so much time whining about indoctrination and the paradigm when they are literally the most dogmatic people on the entire fucking planet. We'll actually see this one guy who completely believes in my niche ideology published one paper that fully supports all of my biases, and therefore science is wrong. Like, god damn, do these people not hear themselves? Like, it genuinely makes me feel like I'm going insane. And I honestly think this way of thinking leads to one of the biggest hang-ups that victims of conspiracies have in their flawed lines of reasoning. And that is the need for there to be, like, a guy. You see, most conspiracy theories and anti-science cults are built around a guy. They got their Kent Hovind, their RFK Jr., their Graham Hancock, you name it. Cults of personality that claim to have the discovery that can single-handedly overturn an entire discipline of science. And these anti-science cult leader grifters are obviously not doing this to improve the body of science, but instead to blatantly enrich themselves. Their singular goal is to expand their personal notoriety and recognition so that they can be on podcasts and sell books and make Netflix series. And most horrifyingly, make it into the fucking government. It's my theory that because so many of these anti-science cults have a guy at the helm, their victims think that actual science must work the same way. They don't really get that science doesn't really have a face. And because of how many individuals and regions and ideas are contributing to it, it works towards being a largely objective source of what we truly know about the world. But since the victims of conspiracies like Shane and Philip and the contrarian guys who peddle them don't have a leg to stand on in an actual field of science, they have to find creative methods to wave away entire disciplines of science who they need to be disrupting in order to continue their personal enrichment. And I believe that this is one of the dominant reasons why so many victims of conspiracy theories and contrarian bullshit artists whine so much about the dominant paradigm in mainstream academia and the woke agenda, because they need to make up a guy. There needs to be some greater thing pulling all the strings. The thing they don't like can't be objective, because if it was objective, then they would have to change their worldview. And so they have to find some nefarious reason for why this thing I don't agree with is suddenly out there in the world. So they come up with, like, the invisible shadow government, or the Freemasons, or the Jews, because they need to have a fucking, you know, some invisible entity pulling the strings that's responsible for fucking
Exactly
science.
what I was saying
It's
earlier.
way too much work to actually learn from the knowledge of the thousands of people that have dedicated their lives to understanding a field, and it's far easier to just hand wave it away by saying that it's all part of some bigger nefarious agenda. And in turn, this empowers people like Shane to think that their complete and utter ignorance of anything within the field of science is worth as much as the understanding of those who have developed the field. You see, many of the contrarian grifters that peddle pseudoscience wear a thin veneer of being scientists. They go on podcasts or get into the government or, you know, have a British accent, which gives their victims the false impression that they're somehow an authority figure, and in turn makes their victims not really understand what science is. And as such, the grifters at the top prime the pump for their victims to go and attack actual science with accusations of dogmas and paradigms, when these terms
literally define the mentality behind every single pseudo guy on the entire fucking planet. Once you get over how frustrating and fucking stupid it is, it's actually really sad. We are essentially watching people get tricked. There's no other way around it. And people like Shane and Philip are two who I think are perfect examples of that. People that were tricked and were taken advantage of, and now unfortunately have to face accountability because they are going on to trick other people. I'm sorry, but you lose the "I was taken advantage of" excuse when you start taking advantage of other people. All right, I'm putting a bow on the paradigm.
That was also
conversation.
another thing I said
Science
earlier.
in its truest form is the challenging of the dominant paradigm of blind faith. It is humanity's ever-unfolding search for objective truth, and the only people who are still clinging to a paradigm are the ones who reject the objective truths that science has uncovered. Fuck. You guys got me doing like a fucking a sermon up here. Oh, there we go. I said it. Here come the comments. See, Milo said he's giving a sermon up there. Science is just another religion. Checkmate, arthritis. Okay, let's go on to the next video because I haven't lost enough fucking brain
Checkmate,
cells
arthritis.
Is Pangea completely fake? Many people on my last video were saying, you fool, there's seashells at the tallest mountain ranges of Earth because of tectonic plates and Pangea. Not because the Earth was once fully covered in water not too many thousands of years ago, and not because of a giant flood, but because of tectonic plates and Pangea.
Wouldn't be a pseudoscience video without denying plate tectonics. I'm not really sure why he zoomed in on Tacoma, Washington. That was a little fucking weird. I don't know if that was Tacoma. Was that Tacoma? It was close to Tacoma. I've only been to Tacoma once, and it's weird to see Tacoma in a video about creationism, because the only time I've ever been to Tacoma, it truly confirmed for me that there is no God.
While I agree there are cracks in the Earth, there's some other questions we need to ask. People say the continents were once connected. What's interesting about that is, if you take the water away from Earth, you'll notice there is dirt. The continents are connected right now.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, Jesus Christ. There's dirt. Oh my god, what the fuck was that? What in the fuck am I watching? Checkmate, geologists, there's dirt under the ocean. Fuck. See why I made a point of showing you guys the holotype specimen earlier? Because this, like, perfectly exemplifies one of the, like, first points I made. I have no idea what the point is that he's even trying to make here, and as such, I don't even really know what to debunk. It's just, like, a stupid thing to say. I don't even fucking get what he's going for.
They're not disconnected. This isn't an island floating. It's just a part of a landmass that's sticking above the ocean level, which has changed in the last few thousand years. So the idea that this is and yes, there are fault lines. There's places where lots of earthquakes happen. That's true. But this landmass that's connected and solid to the Earth and connected to that landmass over there just slowly floats around, and they all just slowly floated apart.
It seems like Shane just doesn't understand how plate tectonics work, or is willfully ignoring how plate tectonics work. Like, he doesn't seem to acknowledge that there's a difference between oceanic crust and continental crust. He sort of, you know, takes the water away and he's like, look, it's all connected. But doesn't seem to understand that, like, that's not really how that works. He doesn't mention anything about, like, the interactions between the plates or really anything to lead me to believe he has the slightest fucking inclination of what he's talking about. And I don't mean that as a slight. Like, I'm not trying to, like, gatekeep here of, like, stupid dumbass didn't go to college for geology. I mean, like, if you Googled the words plate tectonics, you would figure this out in, like, 3 minutes or less. There is literally no excuse for being this poorly informed in the information age. Not a single one. Especially if you are then going to be sharing your ignorance online to thousands to millions of people. What the fuck? This is another great example of pseudoscientists writing off an entire, very well understood scientific discipline based purely on them just not understanding it. Not only not understanding it, misunderstanding just the name of the scientific phenomenon. Like, what seems to be going on here is that Shane heard, you know, plate tectonics and continental drift and sort of just amalgamated them into one. And in his brain, he goes, drift, that's what happens in the water, right? And so he interpreted that as, like, you know, the continents are just like pieces of fucking, like, they're like bumper boats in the water, just floating around, bumping into each other. Which isn't, like, entirely a terrible analogy. It's a gross oversimplification, but he leaves out any of the important information or is intentionally obfuscating it so that he can, I don't know, sell you, you know, Chad mode sperm count supplements or something. Other examples of people doing shit like this is, you know, the Big Bang one I mentioned earlier, where creationists will be like, Big Bang couldn't have happened because explosions can't happen in space. And it's like, well, it wasn't like a fucking explosion, like a goddamn, you know, a stick of fucking dynamite going off. You're just thinking it it was like that because you hear the word bang and you couldn't be fucked to look it up. Or like when fucking climate change deniers are like, oh yeah, so much for global warming, it's snowing here. A million curses upon the fucking asshole that brought a snowball into the halls of Congress. You fucking dumbass. You have given ammunition to climate change deniers forever. But also, that's why we call it fucking climate change now. Because while there is a general trend of warming, there are a lot of different things that happen because climate change is a lot more nuanced than just, oh, climate change happened and there is no more snow. But it's a lot easier to just misunderstand one single phrase that you don't feel like believing in and then just say that somehow your interpretation of that phrase is worth more than the fucking countless scientists that have actually created the entire field that goes underneath that phrase. Now, Shane here is clearly not an authority figure to talk about plate tectonics, and I, frankly, am not really either. So I'm gonna hand this over to someone that knows a lot more about it. Kate, can you tell us, fucking what?
Can you just tell us fucking what?
It's true that the continents are not just land masses floating in the ocean, like they are all touching each other. What this guy missed in earth science class was that it's actually tectonic plates that are floating around, not the continents. Tectonic plates are floating on top of the uppermost layer of the mantle called the asthenosphere. Why are they floating on top? Because they're less dense, like how oil sits on top of vinegar and those decorative salad dressing bottles that your mom had in her 2000s Tuscan kitchen, and you weren't allowed to open them. And there was olives in there. What were those for? I always wanted to drink it. So it seems like Shane is just stuck on continental drift, which is making it hard for him to understand the complex nature of what we actually call plate tectonics. Continental drift refers to the early explanation of why the continents look like they kind of fit together. Notoriously hot scientist Alfred Wegener said, well, they drifted apart, but I don't have the mechanism for how or why. That's the real reason that his idea wasn't taken seriously by the scientific community. It's not because he was challenging the system or breaking the mold. It was because he didn't have enough evidence to back it up. All he said was, well, it looks like this, and we've got the mountains that kind of line up, and we've got fossils on both sides of the ocean. That was it. Don't get me wrong; those were great converging lines of evidence, and they were very significant in later studies. But without having any explanation as to how this actually happened, there was really no credibility to his idea. But then, decades later, this geologist named Marie Tharp was using data from warships to make a map of the ocean floor, and lo and behold, there's a 10,000-mile-long ridge in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. We call this, if you could believe it, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. This was like a smoking gun, and it led to a frenzy of research in the 60s and 70s that produced even more evidence and ultimately resulted in the acceptance of this newly advanced, fine-tuned theory of plate tectonics. Quick sidebar, in science, the word theory means something else than it does to everybody else in the world, and I hate that that's the word that we use for it, because it creates a lot of confusion and people think that, oh, it's just a theory, it's not proven. No, in science, a theory is proven beyond reasonable doubt by countless experts. We know this is happening, and there is mounds and mounds of evidence to prove it.
So one of the best explanations I've personally heard for what a theory actually is in the scientific sense is that it is the body of proof and evidence for a particular topic. Like, as an example, the theory of gravity has a mountain of data behind it. We have an exact, the 9.8 meters per second squared that something accelerates towards the ground is literally part of the theory of gravity. Now, where admittedly the theory of gravity breaks down is when we start getting into quantum related stuff. That doesn't seem to very well relate to our current theory of gravity. So we are aware that it is very flawed, I guess is the word. So we're working on it. Well, scientists are working on it. But yeah, so a theory isn't like my idea or what I suspect or whatever. It's literally just the thousands of studies, or however many studies, the bits of information that we can derive from that as to how exactly a natural phenomenon works. So saying that, like, evolution is a theory or plate tectonics is a theory is saying that literally there is a massive amount of evidence for something, and we are referring to that body of evidence.
Including, finally, the mechanism behind plate tectonics. So the driving force of plate tectonics is actually a combination of two things: ridge push and slab pull. And I'm going to demonstrate that to you with a simple little demo that I developed a few years ago. All you need is a piece of paper and whatever this is. I bought this at a garage sale like 10 odd years ago, and the only things it's ever been useful for are holding sunglasses poorly and explaining plate tectonics.
That actually looks like a sort of weaver's thing. I forget exactly what they're called, but they're like, you're supposed to weave fabric through them. That's kind of what that looks like to me.
Pretty efficiently. Let's have a sip of beer first. We'll go back to our little beer, mic stand method. Let me just say, for how stressful it is to talk about this guy's videos, I'm doing pretty damn good on beer. This is taking so long, you have no idea. The paper here represents the Earth's crust. The little shape I drew in here is continental crust, and everything around it is oceanic crust. Now, something's happening underneath the paper in Earth's mantle. It's convection. There is some kind of like upwelling of material that's going kind of like in a circular motion. I don't have the hands to demonstrate that right
Welcome
now.
back.
But it's pushing these two
Missed
sides
quite a lot.
apart. It's actually creating a rift in the middle, and it's pushing the sides apart. How is it doing that? By creating new rock. What's coming up from the middle here is magma. Like it's magma, and it's what? Just watch. Hang on. See? We're actively creating new oceanic crust in the middle because new material is coming out of this rift. And that's what we call ridge push. But remember, there's another component, slab pull. And we have to consider where this crust is going. It's being pushed out from the rift, but where is it winding up? Well, this isn't the only, crust on Earth. It's going to intersect and collide with another tectonic plate. And because this is oceanic crust, let's say that the stuff on this side, I don't have more paper to show this. And I feel like if I had more, it would fall apart. I don't have as many hands as I'd like to have to be able to do stuff like this. So this is going to be subducting underneath another plate. And that has weight to it. That has mass. Gravity is pulling that down. And that's also contributing to the ridge push. The slab is actively pulling on the plate as well. So these two are working in tandem to move plates around. I love this thing. It falls apart every time I use it. I've been meaning to super glue it, but I don't know where my glue is.
Also, without the Mercator projection, half of these continents wouldn't fit so nicely into each other like it looks like on this map. If you got the true size of Africa, the true size of Greenland, and put them all together, it would not fit very well. There was a distortion in the maps, and there's a reason for it. They say there's a whole explanation of why they do it. But it's not this neat and tidy Pangea you think it is. Also, if you look at an official Pangea map, you'll notice half of these countries and continents are not this shape. They formed them in...
Pangea existed like 65 million years ago. So a lot of different plates have combined. Land has risen up where they've like sort of mushed together. So it's not proof to say that if you take the proper size of modern day Africa and shove it into this one specific map, it doesn't fit there exactly. Well, yeah, no shit. Geologic processes are happening today. I mean, we have a fault line in the United States that's basically following the border of... Aren't those good reference points? I don't know what you're talking about. But we have a fault line in the United States where California is basically being shoved into the North American plate, and every time it slides, there's an earthquake. And it may not happen, it may not be these super destructive earthquakes that you kind of think of when you think of a Like when you think of an earthquake, like it might just be a little tremor kind of thing. So, like, shit is changing around us at all times. Yes. But what this guy is saying is that if you scaled Africa up to the size that it actually is, like not using a modern day map version of it, then it doesn't fit exactly inside of where they say, quote unquote, it does in like the theory of the existence of Pangea. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that he is incorrect because he is trying to make the modern day versions of continents fit into the, 65 plus million years ago version of them. Like, shit has changed.
To a shape, which they claim is they slowly drifted apart and they don't look the same anymore, but they just formed them into a big landmass and called it Pangea.
Oh, that is because, as you have brilliantly observed, the continents have changed shape since then, Shane. Just because the continents look like this now does not mean that the world forever has just been continents in this exact shape, just floating around, bumping into each other. I honestly may have a little bit of a weird type of respect for Shane if he is actually doing this just to grift and kind of put on a persona, because I personally have way too much pride to ever allow myself to willfully partake in this level of humiliation for any amount of views. I just could not do that to myself. Like, I could not put on a bit where I'm just like, all right, I'm going to work today, guys. My work, what is it? Oh, well, I pretend to not know anything on Instagram. And again, I'm not trying to like gatekeep here or be like, call him a fucking dumbass. I mean, like, this is not stuff you need to have a geology, like, PhD to understand. This is literally like Wikipedia search will give you the information you need. So if you are going online and acting like a fucking authority figure in geology and spreading misinformation, and you haven't even fucking Googled it on goddamn Wikipedia, I am going to call you an idiot. I'm sorry. I don't know what else you want me to fucking say. A random schmo online who's like in the comment section just being a fucking moron, I'm like, sure, whatever. You're not claiming to be an authority. No one's taking you seriously. You don't have to Wikipedia search it. But if you're gonna be making videos, there is absolutely no excuse to not just double check the things you're saying. Okay, anyway, it's not just our fucking modern continents floating around bumping into each other in this shape. Pangea started breaking up 200 million years ago, Shane. Just 200 million years after the first mussels emerged, clams, wouldn't you know? Do you really think that it would be possible for all these continents to break up and move around and not change shape at all? Again, I just can't help but feel like this guy's being obtuse on purpose, because I can't imagine someone actually thinking that this is a logical line of reasoning. He also has this like weird moment at the beginning where he acknowledges that like earthquakes and fault lines exist.
So the idea that this is and yes, there are fault lines. There's places where lots of earthquakes happen. That's true.
Which, to be fair, would be absolutely insane to deny, but I guess at this point, I honestly wouldn't put it past him. But then, if you believe in that...
So wait, how does he think that earthquakes actually happen? If they're not fault lines between continents smacking together?
How do you not believe in plate tectonics? Shane, the earthquake, the thing you believe in, you know what that is, right? It's plates slipping against each other, or slipping like this, or like this. They're slipping, is my point. So once a plate has slipped, do you think it just like heals and like goes back? No, it fucking slipped. So if it slips a little bit every once in a while, and it's observable on a human lifespan, what the fuck do you think is gonna happen over a really long time? This is like the creationists who believe that like, evolution can happen on like a micro scale, but I just don't believe in, like evolution. What the fuck do you mean by that? Like, if you think that things can change a little over a little bit of time, then how the fuck do you not also think that things can change a lot over a lot of bit of time? Jesus. Okay, Kate. Fucking take it away. Get out of here.
I can see where Shane gets some of his like quarrels with Pangea, and a lot of it stems from the maps that we have of it, because nobody was around back then, and all that we're basing this off of is the knowledge that these parts, these plate boundaries are spreading, these plate boundaries are converging, these plate boundaries are sliding. that's all that we have, and different models will have different estimates and they create different maps. But remember, we know it existed. And we know that all of those specific continents were touching each other. We just didn't.
Okay, let me do some little nerding out here. Okay, so this is basically the map that they're using in the video. More or less. So if you, one interesting thing that I thought was really cool is if you take a look at these areas right here where these continents were seemingly connected, you actually find common fossils. Like elephant precursors to elephants that existed here also existed here. And then, you know, precursors to like ostriches that existed here also existed here. So like we can find these different species that are analogous crossing these continental borders where they wouldn't normally be accessible. So like over here in Japan, you can kind of see that at one point in time they were connected to mainland China. Well, not mainland China, but mostly Russia. It's kind of changed shape a little bit, but you can see that they were connected, and you can actually find evidence of that if you dug on the Japanese coast and the Russian coast here. You would find similar fossils, similar species. So it's not like this is some wild, out of nowhere theory that people just came up with one day. It's literally supported by like multiple disciplines of evidence. So you can't just be like, no, this isn't a thing. You would have to disprove like 3 entire like disciplines in order to say that no, Pangea did not exist.
Have like exactly the perfect representation of the shape of the whole thing. There's one kind of Pangea map that I have a lot of problems with, and it's ones that show like the placements of countries,
Yeah.
and also like the modern day shapes of stuff. Because if you don't have a slightly higher than basic understanding of plate tectonics, it's really easy to misinterpret that. And that's exactly what Shane does. A lot of people think, and this is perpetuated by those little like activities where you cut out the shapes of the continents and you try to fit them together. They're not going to fit exactly, because Pangea wasn't just an amalgamation of the continents as they are today. They evolved and changed shape since they broke apart from Pangea. Like, they weren't done being built yet. There's parts of our own continent, North America, that didn't exist until after Pangea. Around 100 million years ago, we had this ocean like cutting across North America called the Western Interior Seaway. It was around for about 30 million years until all that land was slowly uplifted above sea level, which is why you can find shark teeth in South Dakota. And this is just one example of post-Pangea Earth.
It's also one of the most dangerous places to be during that time period.
In the 170 million years since it broke up, people are so hung up on Pangea. There's Reunite Pangea t-shirts. Did you know that there were other supercontinents before Pangea, like Rodinia? Nope, I bet you didn't. Did you know that there was all kinds of stuff that happened after Pangea broke up? Yeah, you do.
Thanks, Kate. Killed it. Let's look
Hashtag
at the
bring back
comments,
Gondwana land.
real quick. There's only one I really highlighted for this one because it's just another thing that Shane says that I really love. Pangea is right up there with Darwinism and evolution. And I do like this combined with his profile picture of him doing this, which is like, actually, is that exactly what I'm doing in my profile picture? Touche, actually. Touche, you know? You and I, we are not so different, Shane. We are not so different. We both believe in, you know, food sovereignty and, you know, giving back to a community, and we both have the same profile picture. Only difference is you have balls of steel to do this for a living and be able to sleep at night, and I respect that. Okay, next video, last video.
If this thing really happened, which there's a ton of evidence that it did, you'd think it would be included in the education system if they were interested in teaching you the true history of Earth.
No, Shane, of course not, because the education system is controlled by the Masonic Illuminati, Rockefeller, Rothschild, Jewish, neo-Marxist, neoliberal, leftist, woke agenda. Haven't you been paying attention? God, right when you think someone's starting to get it, they ask questions like this. I thought you were better than that, Shane.
Check this out.
Oysters were found 2 miles above sea level. 11
Oh God,
foot oysters
William Lane
weighing
Craig.
600 pounds, 2 miles above sea level in the Andes Mountains.
I
When
have
they climbed Mount Everest,
PTSD
they
of this
found
voice.
petrified clams on top of Mount Everest. Interesting thing about these clams, they're petrified and they're closed.
No,
Fucking
Kent Ovind.
Kent
Ovind.
Just the person I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna let Kate explain the clams on Mount Everest thing, but I'm gonna take a quick talk about these clam pictures that they were found two miles up in the Andes. Okay, so they cited these old-ass images from old-ass publications, and they're not clams. They are concretions. We've been over this so many times. Do you see what I mean about how many conspiracy theories are hinged on not understanding fucking geology? If I had $1 for every time I had to debunk a conspiracy theory by explaining what fucking concretions are, I would have enough money to get a fucking dumpster to get all these trash bags full of fiberglass, squirrel shit infused insulation out of my fucking studio. There's even a video about these giant clams by the fucking Lost World Museum. Those of you who've been with me for a really long time, you will remember the Lost World Museum. John Adolphi, I talked about him quite a lot when I was just on TikTok back in like 2022, fall of 2022. But my point is that the video about these clams from John Adolphi, who is a diehard fucking creationist, even says that they're concretions and not fucking clams. When John...
Okay, so one fun fact is that I watched this video one time. Fuck you. So I can't find any other source of it than Facebook, but essentially, like, this was at one point alleged to be a person's foot, where the foot inside of the shoe has been fossilized. But this is not true. So essentially what happens is, like, a boot will get left in a mine shaft, for example, which will then have water on top of it, like, run across it. And because it's a container, it basically becomes a container at that point, it will contain the sediments that would normally just run off of the water and into the underground mineral spring, get trapped in this boot, and then they happen to form shapes that happen to look like a foot, because it's designed to have a foot in it. Mysterious, I know, but water tends to take the shape of the container. So anyways, like, you can kind of see here that it looks a bit like a foot, and yeah, if I didn't know what I was looking at, then I would absolutely assume that was a foot. But they happen all over the place. There's literally a place in I want to say it was Thailand, where they have yeah, this like, so in wherever this is, I forget exactly where, they have a tradition of hanging sentimental value, things of sentimental value, underneath this waterfall. They believe that it's good luck or something along those lines. I can't remember exactly what the theology behind it is, or what the idea behind it is, but essentially they hang these underneath the waterfall, and over the course of like a few months to a year, depending on how heavy the water movement is, it gets covered in essentially limestone, which is what the bed of the waterfall is made of. So the water is literally picking up the limestone and dropping it on the teddy bear or whatever item that they have here. So kind of a similar vein that they're talking about, just sort of explaining what concretion is and how it happens exactly. Alright, back to the video.
Adolphi's Lost World Museum is doing better critical thinking than you, you know you are fucking cooked.
Now, I'd like to point out, Mount Everest is a little ways from the beach, first of all, okay? About 450 miles to the beach. And clams do not climb mountains very well. And when a clam dies, it opens. You can walk along the beach and find a million seashells. You hardly ever find a matched pair. And you never find them closed if they're dead. They open right away. How do you get petrified closed clams on top of Mount Everest? I think there was a flood. But I don't think the flood was over Mount Everest. Mount Everest wasn't there. Psalm 104 tells us the mountains arose during the last part of the flood. The mountain ranges formed during the end of the flood, probably as a result of the Earth's crust being cracked open and busted up into pieces, and pieces would lift up and flex back and forth.
There is a very real agenda to hide the true history of—
Yo, Shane, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I know that crying about the big scary is a very important narrative to you, but I'll let you get back to it in just a second, I swear. I just got to say something. Just a quick question for Kent here. If everything was covered from a biblical flood, as they say, a biblical flood, why in the fuck are there not marine fossils literally everywhere? Seems like, you know, normally in science they try and explain things that they're, you know, claiming, but this isn't science, it's faith, so I don't actually expect him to. This is a rhetorical question, but why the fuck are there not marine fossils everywhere? Here where I live, in New England, there are two kind of primary places for fossils. One, super fucking young. There are marine fossils, like shells, clams, if you will, from the Ice Age over on the coast of Maine, from isostatic rebound. When the ice melted, the Earth was compressed, so the ocean went over it, and then as the Earth rose back up, it came out of the water. There's clam shells there. They're like 10,000 years old. They're super fucking recent. Then, over in Champlain, there is the Chazy Fossil Reef, which is like 400 million years old. There's trilobites there. Super fucking old, super different, completely incomparable to the other ones. Other than that, in Western Mass, we have some dinosaur footprints that are somewhere between 400 million years ago and 10,000 years ago. But other than that, we don't really have much.
And that's the thing, is that these people try to paint, like, especially Kintovend and those who believe that there was a biblical flood at one point in time, they try to paint it as if, like, all of these fossils were created in one giant flood event when they clearly display evidence of, like, completely different climates. So the trilobites, they probably weren't fossilized at the same time or even in the same event that the dinosaurs were, nor in the example that he's talking about, where the 10,000-year-old clams were fossilized, you know, coming up from underneath a glacier.
I dig down in my yard, I'm gonna hit fucking
Vastly different things.
There's not a whole lot of shit going on down there. But since these goons never shut the fuck up about, oh, the marine fossils on tops of mountains because the whole world was covered in water. If the whole world was covered in water, why the fuck aren't there marine fossils everywhere? And why are the marine fossils in different parts of the world different from one another? Shouldn't it just be the same because it all happened at the same time? I don't know why I'm asking for a rational train of thought from creationists. I'm alone. I'm in this studio by myself. This is it, guys. I'm crashing the fuck out. It's happened. There's no one even in this room. I'm just crashing out by myself. That's so sad. Okay, anyway, fuck. Shane, I'll let you get back to it now. What were you whining about, as you were?
What's going on in this realm from you? And if you want to know why that is, you're going to have to comment truth below, because you can't mention their entire evil plot on an Instagram video. Comment truth below and check your DMs.
Oh, yeah, Shane, I'm sure the establishment has it out for you. You wouldn't want to say too much here. It's that victim narrative, bro. It's the victim narrative. It was the same thing Philip did when he had the little laser dot on his head. It's so funny. Bro, you ain't like a fucking pariah. No one's coming to get you, okay? You're not like on the watch list of like the Freemason woke Illuminati, you know, agenda. Wouldn't want to say too much now, bro. They might get you. Gotta say though, it is pretty refreshing to see a video from before Shane started peddling supplements. Back in the good old days where all he was doing was engagement farming by capitalizing on terrified, paranoid people. Like a true American. I don't even know if this guy's American. I hope he's not Canadian too. That would be like 2 strikes against Canada, and I don't know if she can take a third. Me and my Canada saw you from across the border, and we're looking for a third. Okay, quick look at some of the comments.
We liked your vibes.
Before we pass it off to Kate. Kent Hovind went to prison not too long after he recorded those videos. No way! It's because he went against the agenda. The agenda. He got, he was silenced. He was canceled by the agenda. No, it's because he's.
No, those videos came out in 1996, and he wasn't even started to be canceled until like 2010. So why did it take the Illuminati more than 10 years to even come after him? He didn't even go to prison for tax evasion, by the way, until like 2014. Why did it take him 20 years? If it's like an Illuminati thing, why did it take the Illuminati 20 years to disappear, quote unquote, Kent Hovind? He's still around, by the way. He has a YouTube video. His son Eric actually stole his old media empire from him. So it was like signed over to him. It was signed over to Eric so that Kent could, like, it can continue while Kent was in prison. That narrative makes absolutely no fucking sense.
A fucking tax evader. I heard about this some years back. I have to redo some research. Big, heavy lifting research going on here. I heard someone say this same bullshit, like 3 or 4 years ago. I'll have to consult my tomes. I'll be in my study if you need me. Everything was bigger before the great deluges. Hey, if that makes you feel a little bit better about yourself, okay, I hate to do this to you, Kate.
Yeah, I was bigger before the Great Deluge, too.
Tell us about Kent Hovind.
What are you cutting back to me for? I covered a lot of this stuff already, so you should be fuming along with me, hearing this reiterated by this old guy who sounds like he should be like a villain in a horror movie set in the Midwest. Devil of Illinois, Illinois slaughterhouse, Iowa butcher house, the devil in Indiana. This may be God's land, but he ain't coming. So the observation being made here is that clams open when they die, because that's how we see them at the beach. But when we see them in fossils, in rock, they're closed. And he's saying that if they're closed, it means that they were probably buried very quickly, buried alive. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, that's true. That's how we get fossils. We wouldn't get them otherwise if they weren't quickly buried. So this guy is claiming that because you only find these clams closed, that they all had to have been buried at once by some great global catastrophic event. And this is a core idea of catastrophism, which has been disproven and replaced by uniformitarianism, which says there are all these processes that happen throughout Earth's history, and they still happen today. Processes like plate tectonics and mountains forming and being eroded down, and oceans opening up and closing, and all kinds of even like minuscule events, especially storms. I have seen so much evidence of storm events in like less than 6 inches of a rock layer. I can point out and be like, oh, there was like a storm here. Look at how the layers are kind of like fucked up. When geologists look at sedimentary rock, we can infer a lot of things about the environment that it was formed in. Looking at a rock like this that has a lot of fossils close together in the same layer, that can tell us a little bit about how abundant food was for these creatures, how much competition there was between them. We can look at the angles that some of these shells are oriented, and we can see, okay, well, they're landing on top of each other. They're being buried one after the other in like random orientations. This might have been a storm. A storm would have created a lot of wave action that would jostle up sediment and bury lots of things at once. And even like regularly scheduled like waves and tides can do this too. They can, jostle up sediment, and sometimes things just die. You can find open clams in rock. Fossilized open clams. You can find them disarticulated.
Oh, there was this interesting thing I heard about one time. She said, sometimes things can just die. There was like, maybe this is misinformation, so I may not want to spread this too far, but like, I remember reading this story once about an entire town that essentially disappeared overnight because like a local lake had released a whole bunch of methane. That just kind of like a giant methane cloud that just... Ouch! You evil, evil man. You're hitting me with Pokeballs. But there was this city somewhere in the United States that had like a lake release a huge cloud of methane out of the bottom of it. And it rolled over the city and killed basically everything. So yeah, stuff like that just happens sometimes.
Which I actually have a good example of somewhere around here. Oh, hi. Do you want something? No, I gave it to a kid for his birthday. He was unimpressed. The kids in my life are not based. I give you a fossil that is twice as old as the dinosaurs. And he goes, so it's not a dinosaur? Have some respect for the clams. Anyways, a lot of things just like die.
Agreed. Respect the clams.
In random accidents. Look at friggin' hamsters. They just up and die sometimes. Never had a hamster. I was afraid. It can also happen from a flood. Not like a global great flood, but just like a regular ass flood. Yeah. I'm not going to deny that this can happen from a flood, but a giant global flood did not happen. We have substantial evidence to prove that. You can't ignore that. You can't just cherry pick the pieces of evidence.
A global flood also would have likely killed off all life everywhere. Like, I know these kinds of theories just tend to, like, be written off as, like, you know, God did it kind of thing. But, like, where'd the water come from? Where'd the water go to after it left? Where... Like, what happened to the salination of the water? Because if you just dumped enough water onto the current system, it would completely desalinate the ocean to the point where saltwater fish wouldn't be able to survive. It would also salinate the water that's being poured on it so much that freshwater fish could also not survive. Like, this would be literally a global catastrophe that kills everything. Like, even algal blooms, which are thought to be responsible for our entire oxygenation, oxygenation of our entire atmosphere, depend on the salination of the ocean water. Like, it would literally make the air unbreathable on the entire global scale. God! So annoying.
Evidence that support your idea, and one, completely misinterpret them and misconstrue them and use them to deceive people. But two, you have to consider the other evidence, all the evidence that's proving you wrong. Also, I don't know if Milo will mention this, but this guy, this Kent Hovnid, he's like an evangelist. Evangelist. God, I got brain rot. He's an evangelist, and he is giving a sermon. He's not teaching you anything. He is preaching to you. You are not getting anything real from what he's saying. He is using rhetoric and a specific vocal style to convince you. And that's what like preachers do. That's what like mega churches do. And that's how they scam you out of your time, your money, your life. They're sucking the life out of you. You have to see through it. This guy, Shane, I don't know how else to put this, but it feels like this conspiracy might be a special interest of his. And there's nothing wrong with having a special interest. Mine is brachiopods. But it feels like he's really grasped onto this and he gets joy in his life from sharing it with other people and gaining a large following and just deceiving people. It's malicious, whether or not he's intending it to be. Anyways. Back to you, Milo.
Oh shit, me? I thought I was done with this goddamn video. You want me to keep going? God damn, Kate, you're a tough one. Seriously though, Kate, thank you so much for coming on and for sharing your expertise with us. You should all go check out Kate's content. It is absolutely wonderful. Again, you can find her at Groovy Geologist on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Go give her a follow. Go give her some love from us here at the Mini Minute Man. And Kate, thank you again for all that you do. We need more science communicators like you, helping make the world a more enlightened place. It is the #1 way to prevent bullshit like this from taking root. So thanks again, Kate, and looking forward to the next one. Here, to finish things off, let me just fucking smoke the rest of this beer. This one's for you.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
It's noon somewhere. It's noon here. Fuck. Why did I say I was gonna make this video 2 parts? I don't think it's actually reasonably possible for me to make this video 2 parts and expect my team to be able to get it out on time. I'm gonna do this in more than 2 parts. Sorry guys, that's it. That's all. That's literally all I can muster.
Not multiple parts.
I don't think I could have scripted something better. Literally, as I was saying that, my battery died. I think that is a sign that I am going to turn this into the first part of this video. For the sake of my team, who do not need to spend fucking 6 months trying to edit together like the first part of like it's like 3.5 hours long. So we're gonna do this in another. I'm gonna come back. We're gonna do another part to this because Jesus Christ, I'm not even done with the script. Where am I in this script? Great, I'm about 2/3 of the way done with the script for what was supposed to be part 1. Next one's gonna be fun, guys. It has the long-awaited. You ready for this? It's got Professor Dave Explains. So get fucking hyped.
I love him.
Everyone's been asking for that for a while. I've
One
been
of my
asking
favorite
for it for a
YouTubers.
while, so you finally get to see the YouTube debunker gang in action for the first time. So get excited for that. Yeah, we're gonna kick that one off.
I'm really
Shane
excited.
doesn't understand biology, so tune in next time. We'll try and get it out with 2 weeks. You know, once every other week is kind of our post schedule here. We always do live premieres. Premieres are at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sundays. Stay tuned. Join me for the live premiere for part 2. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna be there. You're gonna be there. Shane's gonna be there probably. Professor Dave's gonna be there. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, this video is long. If you got a kick out of this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could leave an interaction on it. Interactions are like tipping the bellhop. It doesn't cost you a cent, and it helps these videos do better in the algorithm, which allows me and my team
that's
to
why,
continue
'cause it's my
making them here
VTuber
on
account.
YouTube for free. And if you enjoyed me keeping you company while you folded your dishes or did your laundry, feel free to check out another one of my videos. I got a lot of other videos that are also great to play in the background while you have to deal with the monotony of everyday life. And if you got any friends that also need constant background noise to drown out the crushing silence of the inside of their own skulls, why don't you share this video with them as well? You'll have something to chat about the next time you see each other. And check out stickers, hoodies, all that shit, link in the description. Again, help support what I do here, help support the artists who make the art, and make sure to tune in next time for part 2, because somehow this is only the beginning. I don't even think I really metabolized what I committed to when I did this, but I have to see it through, and then I can start doing Atlantis. So fucking stick with me, cause fuck. Lastly, I'd like to give a huge thank you to my patrons on Patreon.
Okay, well yeah, so I'm gonna put the link to the video in the chat, both YouTube and Twitch. If you want to watch it, I encourage you to. Mini Minute Man on YouTube, absolutely fucking phenomenal creator. I have loved every video that I've watched of his so far, which I've watched a lot in the last like 2 days since I discovered him. Just kind of seeing a new generation of people who are like scientifically minded and want to bring science to the newer generations really harkens me back to, like, I know I'm showing my age here, but the atheism versus creation debates of like 20 years ago. Except not as edgy and not as terrible. And apparently not as full of pedophiles. Hopefully. Because have you ever looked back at any of the, like, atheism plus people? Like, I don't know, 3 out of the 12 of them that I can think of off the top of my head have like sexual assault allegations on him? I did too. I used to watch Armored Skeptic. It was up until the Force Awakens video where he walks into his studio with a shoe on head, where he throws himself down in his chair and smacks the shit out of a like armored head that he has on the head of a armored suit that he has on his little coffee table there. That was literally the video I stopped watching him. If he was not going to, if he was going to act like a child about this, then I lost all respect for him immediately. Could not watch another video. Have you seen any of his recent videos? I was actually watching, actual Jake from the Bible Reloaded. Back in the day, if you remember that. He was watching several of Armored Skeptic's videos, and it's like he's gone down this like huge rabbit hole of like conspiracy theories and Bible theories and all of this other stuff, and it's super weird, man. If you haven't seen it, you've got to watch it. But yeah, just as Zayden, I know you dropped a message while Milo was giving his little speech at the end there. I was letting it go, letting it play so that he could finish up what he had to finish for the end of his video, giving himself all the shoutouts and all that stuff. I wasn't meaning to ignore you, but you said just forget it and you left the chat before I could actually address you. I don't typically watch videos submitted by my chat. I've literally done it once, and luckily I didn't regret it. But you could basically enter any kind of link whatsoever and just disguise it as something else. And if I click it, it like steals my Twitch browser information, for example. So I don't typically use links from people in chat unless I trust them. But yeah. It was a fun gorilla stream. I might be back tomorrow, though I might not, because I ordered a new bed setup. Have you guys ever heard of... I don't trust viewers because they're evil and they're mean and they throw objects at me. But I might be back tomorrow. More editing. Nope, I don't. You hit me with too many dino nuggets. I'll be back tomorrow, probably, hopefully. Unless, because, like, I got a new bed set up. It's a loft bed. And I'm gonna be setting up my whole setup underneath there. And getting rid of some of my old stuff. So I may not have time to stream tomorrow. But if I do, probably gonna be doing something similar to this. Maybe some WoW grinding. Because I gotta get ready for Midnight coming out. Apparently comes out on Monday. Oh, next weekend we will have 4 streams. I will be streaming Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And Monday we're gonna be doing WoW Midnight's release with Miss Healer. So Normie, you better not miss that stream or you're gonna be in the doghouse. Ow. You scare me with that every time. Alright, well, that's all the time I have for now. I want to thank you guys for coming. It has been an absolute pleasure to entertain you for the time that you've allowed me to. Come back, hopefully tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. Central Time. We'll hopefully do some more of this kind of stuff. I don't know. Who knows? But definitely Friday, definitely Saturday, and definitely Sunday, and definitely Monday. But that is all the time I have for now. Thanks for coming. Have fun. Stay awesome. And most importantly, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Oh,